Ready, gentlemen?
Everyone ready?
Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the City of Palm Coast City Council business meeting. Today is Tuesday, April the 19th, 2022. It is now just 9:02 a.m. We are in the community wing of City Hall. If you would all please rise and join me as we pledge our allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If the clerk would call the roll, please.
Mayor Branquino. Councilmember Danko.
Here.
Councilmember Finelli.
Present.
Councilmember Clufus.
Present.
Mayor, all members are present.
Thank you. Before I begin the information on public participation, I would ask each city council member to adjust their microphones so that those that might be listening virtually can hear clearly. Thank you. Public participation shall be held in accordance with Section 286.0114 Florida statutes and pursuant to the City Council's meeting policies and procedures. 1. Each speaker shall at the podium provide their name and may speak for up to 3 minutes. 2. The public may provide comments to the City Council relative to matters not on the agenda at the times indicated in this agenda. Following any comments from the public, there may be discussion by the City Council. 3. When addressing the City Council on specific enumerated agenda items, speakers shall A. Direct all comments to the mayor. B. Make their comments concise and to the point. C. Not speak more than once on the same subject. D. Not by speech or otherwise delay or interrupt the proceedings or the peace of City Council. E. Obey the orders of the mayor or the City Council. And F. Not make any irrelevant, impertinent, or slanderous comments while addressing City Council, which pursuant to council rules shall be considered disorderly. 4. Any person who becomes disorderly or who fails to confine his or her comments to the identified subject or business shall be cautioned by the mayor and thereafter must conclude his or her remarks on the subject within the remaining designated time limit. Any speaker failing to comply as cautioned shall be barred from making any additional comments during the meeting and may be removed as necessary for the remainder of the meeting. Portions of the agenda at the times indicated by the chair during the meeting. Thank you. That's the reminder on how we can maintain our civility and decorum and listen to everyone's comments who chooses to share them today at today's meeting and every meeting in the future. With that, I would open up the meeting for public participation. I suggest, as said previously, that your comments be restricted to items that are not on a future part of the agenda. So please proceed.
Mark Lewis, Cottonwood, Palm Coast. Can I speak on the compensation thing that's in the agenda?
So we have compensation coming later in the agenda. Could you hold your comment until we get to that part of the agenda?
I can.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mayor and City Council. Mike Martin, I live in Palm Coast. I want to commend you on your activities today and recognizing volunteerism, because volunteerism is at the core of what we do. So I want to thank you for recognizing the people who give of their time and their energy and their effort and their intelligence to make Palm Coast a better city. I also urge you to practice what you preach and to consider your efforts at volunteering your time, your energy, and your intelligence to make Palm Coast a better place. because if you do not practice what you preach, then your recognitions today are fairly hollow. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next speaker, please.
Robert Mcdonald, City of Palm Coast. Last week, I brought up at the public comments about that exit door. Well, when the comments were over, the vice mayor, who was partially right in his response, explained that the city council, as well as employees of the city, have an access card so they can gain access to any door in the building. Well, that's a completely different door, and we're going to leave it at that. This morning, I also brought up last week at the meeting that there are people, I won't mention anybody's name, but there are people who still feel that because of who they are, they can come through that metal detector without having to go through, quote, security. And I was told that the reason they're allowed to go through is because they're not allowed to carry a weapon of any shape or form into the building. Well, that's the purpose of having the metal detector. Because if you have a disgruntled employee or you have a disgruntled city council person, what's going to stop them from carrying a weapon into this building and having a mass shooting in this building? So maybe at some point, since all comments have to be addressed to the mayor, maybe the mayor can ask the city attorney what the legal ramifications, because I'm the one who fought to get that metal detector put out there. Well, it's useless if there are people who feel that they can come through that entrance during or prior to a meeting without having to go through a metal detector. It takes all of about 30 seconds, and I know that I'm going to feel a lot safer knowing that everybody in the building is not carrying a weapon. So that's my comments this morning.
Thank you for your comment. Is there a next speaker, please? Yes, sir.
Steve Carr, Palm Coast. Florida Park Drive has over 8,400 cars per day. That's about 300 cars per year. Just 60 feet from the bedrooms of children. And that's 80 feet from the children that play on the basketball courts at Holland Park. Children non-cardio breathing is about 16 times per minute. That's 23,040 times per day. There are many and numerous health studies about close proximity traffic to homes, also about the harm to children of prolonged exposure to traffic fumes and dust and noise. Children health effects that have been associated with close proximity to homes less than 150 meters, which is 492 feet, include asthma onset and aggravation, cardiovascular disease, reduced lung function, impaired lung development, preterm and low birth weight infants, leukemia, and premature death. Now, that's where the study showed 492 feet. We're talking 60 feet from where the traffic is. Harmful effects on children are structural changes in the brain, low cognitive development, robbing the children of their bright future by the harm that it causes. Autism, child obesity, developing lung and immune and metabolic system. Sets the stage for cardiovascular disease later in life. There's a lot of problems with car fumes and car dust and car noise. And I've been talking about this for over 10 years here at the City Council, that Florida Park Drive is being used as a thoroughfare to exchange traffic between two parkways, Palm Coast Parkway, Palm Harbor Parkway. It's a residential area. It's not a parkway exchange. Okay, so in my opinion, the harm to children from close proximity traffic and to homes and prolonged exposure to traffic fumes and doing nothing about it is just about as close to being child abuse as I can think of. So please do something about the amount of traffic, the fumes and dust and noise. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Is there another speaker that would like to address City Council at this time? Yes, sir.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Mayor and council members. I'm Dave Shank. I'm here with my wife, Myrna. We're some of the newest residents here in the community. And I wanted to take a point to, sir, I recognize your comments, and I think they were very valid, but I also recognize that large man standing there in a uniform. So, one, thanks for your service over there as well, and those gentlemen at the detector out front. So, important that we recognize the first responders. I'm, along with my wife, we're a 30-year retired Army veteran family. We lived in Jacksonville for a year. That's where I was born and raised. We made a deliberate decision-making process to run through where we wanted to reside. My wife calls it our forever home. We reside in the C-section here in Palm Coast. We like what we see so far. It's a big difference from Jacksonville for those of you all who've been up to that large city with a great deal of crime and congestion and other challenges that most large cities face. We're here to assist. I have no desire to sit in any of your seats today, but however we can help, we're here to assist in any capacity. We still do a little bit of work, but nonetheless, if we're not fishing or enjoying the outdoors, please let us know. And thanks for letting us become some of the newest members of Palm Coast. Thanks.
We thank you for your service and thank you for your comment. Is there another speaker that would like to make comment at this time? Seeing no one, I will, yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I'm Al Cryer from the Committee on Safety on Cimarron. I wanted to just touch on a couple things today. Looking back, this all started November 9th, year 2020 is when we made the first presentation. You people have listened to over 60 presenters on Cimarron, bikers, tri-bikers, walkers with pets, people that drive on the road, on and on and on. I equated that comes to almost 4 hours. So I want to thank you for your patience. Now, we just sat down, we realized we're getting near the end there. We've made some progress, a lot of progress, and we've decided that we're just going to have one presenter from Cimarron at each of the following council meetings, probably till sometime in May. And we'll just go back and pick up a couple of the little highlights. Like I say, one of them I mentioned already was the opening date of 2020. Another big one was when you called all the residents in that are concerned with Cimarron. And Mr. Mayor, you were there, and I want to thank you for coming. But it gave an open view, and now 100 people had showed up that night to express their opinion. Everything was laid out, what we have to do. We followed it to the T. The city said what they would do. They did everything that they did right to the button, and I'm so pleased for that. So there's going to be another public meeting coming up towards the end here, but we want to just keep one speaker up here. We're going to go back and review a couple of the real important numbers that we should remember and we'll throw a couple of them at you at each meeting. And then when we wrap it all up, we'll just give you a summary sheet of the highlights, some of the things that may have got lost with our presenters in the past, and it may help in the vote. So in closing, I would like to thank the council, the city. I've had tremendous volunteers. There were supposed to be 2 other men up here today, but they had other conflicts, but they'll be up in the next few weeks. But I appreciate everybody's help. I always close it this way, and I'll continue to close it this way. This is a good place to live, and I like it here. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you for your comment. Is there another speaker that would like to make comment at this time?
Good morning. My name is Darlene Shelley. I live in Hidden Lakes. On March 15th, I spoke before you to ask you to consider a moratorium on commencement of development projects proposed for Old Kings Road until such a time that the 4-lane widening project is completed in this very dangerous section of Old Kings Road. Since that time, there have been multiple additional accidents near this location. The light pole and street sign at the intersection of Old Kings and Town Center was destroyed when hit by a vehicle. I sent you all the photos. In a separate accident, 6 wooden bollards at the same location were annihilated in a crash. This could just as easily been 6 fatalities if there had been cyclists waiting to cross Old Kings from the Lehigh Trail, as they often do. On April 10th, I-95 was once again shut down due to a crash, and traffic was once again diverted to Old Kings Road. The traffic backed all the way up to State Road 100. It took 6 light changes to get through the intersection that day from Town Center onto Old Kings Road. Old Kings can't handle the current traffic demands, and this council has ignored the health, safety, and welfare of the local residents by approving highly contested special exceptions and zone changes that will invite thousands of huge trailers, RVs, and boats to not just 1, but 3 storage facilities located within a half a mile of each other. This is ill-conceived, dangerous, and will have a negative effect on the health, safety, and welfare of the residents of Palm Coast. No commencement of construction should be allowed until it can be proven safe. This proposed moratorium will save lives. Please listen to the concerned citizens of Palm Coast and uphold the protections outlined in the Land Development Code. We're here to tell you that you're not performing to our expectations. It seems as though you're looking out for developers and perhaps own special interests, and not the health, safety, and welfare of the local residents of Palm Coast. Your public service is for the citizens, and you should start listening to comprehend and not just thanking us for our comments. Thank you for your consideration of a moratorium.
Thank you for sharing your comment this morning. Is there another speaker in the audience that would like to make comment at this time? Yes, sir.
My name is Robert Scove. I also live in Hidden Lakes, and I also want to ask a question, Ward 3, about the safety on Old Kings Road. Was the Division of Transportation consulted? Did they do a study? Did you ask the Sheriff's Department about their thoughts about the safety on Old Kings Road? Or the state police? That's it.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any additional speakers at this time? Seeing none, I will close public comment. And my first question to City Manager is, will you follow up regarding the safety of our meetings and the security of the building? Would you bring that forward? Have a conversation with the resident, but at the appropriate time, bring us the policy and procedure so that we are all current on what the correct safety protocol is for city council meeting?
Yes, Mayor, and our staff have been in contact with Mr. Mcdonald, and I appreciate the referencing that during his comments.
Very good. Are there any members of city council that would like to comment at this
Yes.
time? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Let me start by Mr. Dave Shank. Thank you for your service, sir. 30 years serving this country. Nothing could be much better than that. More loyal, more everything. You just moved from Jacksonville here because of quality of life. Let's keep it that way. Let's keep Palm Coast, and Jacksonville, with all due respect for those who choose to live in Jacksonville. Now, there are two people that I grew to really care for around here. One is Mr. Cryer, I love you, and the other one, Mr. McDonald. Mr. McDonald, I've been in the security business for a long time, since 1986. And when I tell you that if you're going to get a security guard in every door here, it's going to cost a lot of money, and you're still not going to solve anything. Not anything to your point. Because the minute you close the doors that anybody with a fab could go through, it becomes a hazard. Because if those doors are locked, or if there's an emergency, people have no way to get out. So you have 4 doors, if I'm not mistaken, 3 or 4 doors that anyone that works in this building could easily come through without a problem. They have the fob. They could open it from the outside. Unless we make it that nobody could use those doors for emergency, I see absolute no point in safety, because there will be no safety. That's the reason. And lock them, you can't. Lock them, you can't. That we go back to Peterson for Joe, what's his name, Joe Clark, when he closed the doors and everybody went to get out and he couldn't. He did it with intentions, but guess what? He had a problem with that. Almost cost him his life. So, safety. I would not tell you, especially you, because you know I love to talk to you. I would not tell you how to put out a fire, because you were a fireman. Security, I kind of think that you shouldn't tell me how to do it. But we discuss that when I go to your work, as we do usually. Okay? Thank you. That's it, Mayor.
Any additional comments?
Sure, I would just like to also recognize the gentleman speaker from Jacksonville and welcome him to Palm Coast, and thank you for his service.
Very good. Gentlemen, any other comments from City Council at this time?
I'd like to share, just like Councilman Clufus said, welcome. We're glad you're here, and a little fishing term, tight lines.
That's good.
Okay. With that, we'll move on to Section E of the agenda, which is the minutes. I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the minutes from April 5th, 2022, a business meeting, and also from April the 12th, 2022, a workshop meeting. May I have a motion?
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second as well. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Any changes, corrections? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Does the clerk have the call?
5-0.
Thank you. We'll move now to the section of the agenda, which is titled Presentations and Proclamations. And I think I shall begin today with a proclamation on Community Volunteer Month. So I would ask all of those community volunteers, I told you not to get comfortable, please come up and join me for the proclamation. And Ms. Kershaw, could you kind of help them get organized up here?
All of our city of council volunteers.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Appreciate everybody.
This is beautiful.
There we go. Senior year, you did every activity, right?
I think we should get up.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Yeah. It's a dead language.
No, after you. Everybody's getting their exercise this morning. Chief, let's frame you in the center, please. You're not going to get away from me this time. Yes. All right. We have such a large group. I beg the forgiveness of the audience. I forgive my back, but let me address the proclamation directly to the recipients, if I have your permission to do that. Wow, what an impressive group this morning, and everyone has a smile on. I love it. Okay. Let's begin. Whereas April is both Florida Volunteer Month and National Volunteer Week from April 17th, 23, established as the official time in our state to recognize and celebrate the efforts of volunteers at the local, state, and national levels. And whereas volunteering enhances the lives of those who give so generously of themselves, while increasing their self-esteem and physical well-being, gaining opportunities to learn new skills and abilities, acquiring chances to meet new friends and associates. And whereas the very essence of the quality of life we enjoy in Palm Coast is immersed in our community's enthusiasm for volunteerism, as it has become the path that has led us to grow and develop together. And whereas our City of Palm Coast government is blessed with an abundance of devoted, compassionate volunteers who assist in various departments, including support for our courageous firefighters and fire police, and service as members of our Volunteer Firefighters Pension Board, Code Enforcement Board, Planning and Development Review Board, and the Beautification and Environment Advisory Committee. And whereas City of Palm Coast residents of all ages are discovering the joys of volunteering, whether they are Flagler Palm Coast or Matanzas high school teens, searching for community service, newcomer baby boomers wanting to explore future retirement options, or our venerable seniors looking to stay young by spending their time helping friends and neighbors. And now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Mayor and the City of Palm Coast Council do hereby recognize the month of April as Community Volunteer Month and encourage residents to acknowledge the positive impact our city volunteers achieve in our community as they dedicate themselves tirelessly and selflessly to make Palm Coast a loving place in which to live. Signed this 19th day of April, 2022. I congratulate you all, and I think the proclamation says it well. Is there a spokesman among you that would like to make comment, Chief, on the volunteer efforts? I am.
Oh, my goodness.
I am.
Yes, no, Tim.
And I pulled you to the front for a reason.
Speak carefully. You speak on behalf of all of these wonderful volunteers who have sacrificed so much.
Thank you, Mayor, for your dedication and for the community for understanding what it takes to be in the service of volunteerism. I recently had the opportunity to speak to somebody about the early stages of their volunteerism and the dinners that are left to go cold, the family events that are left to not be had, and when people are volunteering, they're as dedicated as anyone to show up to come out and help. For years, I know we have put things off, put on family holidays, were put off for different events, dinners, anniversaries, birthdays, all put on hold for specific times when the emergency happens and we go to calls. I just want to thank all the staff who have been volunteering for a long time. Many of them are my mentors. I've relied on a lot of their counsel. The amount of years of experience that stands behind you in that section alone is probably well over 500 years of experience. It is amazing what they brought from another career to come to this community to help this community grow and move into the next level. So I just want to thank them and all of the people that are actively involved in keeping our organization shaped and moving forward.
Ditto.
Thank you.
Accept that on behalf of all of you.
I would be honored. Thank you.
Thank you again, everyone, for all of your effort.
Thank you, everyone.
So much, and thank you for coming this morning. We appreciate every one of you. Thank you for all that you do, for all the service that you provide.
Item 3.
This is 3? Oh, yes.
Item 3.
Number 5, I'll be the last one.
Very good. I thank you for your attention. We have several more proclamations this morning. I'll move on to the next proclamation, which is National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. Good morning. Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical services. And whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of the life and preservation of property. And whereas the safety of our law enforcement officers and firefighters is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who telephoned the Flagler County Emergency Communications Center. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link for our police officers and firefighters by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety. Whereas public safety telecommunicators of the Flagler County Sheriff's Office have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients. And whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in this past year, now therefore be it proclaimed by the Mayor and the City Council of the City of Palm Coast, Florida, April 10, April 16, 2022, as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week, in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keep our city and citizens safe. Signed this 19th day proudly of April 2022 by myself. Thank you.
Good morning, Mayor and City Council. My name is Christina Mortimer. I'm the Director of the Communications Center for the Flagler County Sheriff's Office, which we are all responsible for answering and dispatching all emergency and non-emergency calls for fire, EMS, and law enforcement services throughout all of Flagler County. We thank you for recognizing all of our 911 professionals in recognition of National Public Safety Telecommunicator Week. We are so fortunate here in Flagler County to have an amazing group of 911 dispatchers serving our community 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. On an average 12-hour shift, our dispatch center receives approximately 250 to 300 calls for service. Just last month alone, they answered over 12,000 calls for service. All of our 20 dispatchers in our communications center, they're all cross-trained in both law, fire, and EMS, and they are all trained to provide the appropriate pre-arrival instructions for any emergency that they may answer. They all do such an amazing job serving our community and responding to our residents during what is often the most difficult moment of their life. We thank you very much for recognizing all of them, and thank you.
I think there's another one first.
Good morning. I have a proclamation here this morning on Sexual Assault Awareness Month, which is the month of April. Yes, would you like to come up, Trish and team? Please come join me. Whereas Sexual Assault Awareness Month calls attention to the fact that sexual assault violence is widespread and impacts every person in this community, and whereas rape, sexual assault, and sexual harassment impact our community, and statistics show that 1 in 5 women and 1 in 71 men will be raped at some point in their lives. That 1 in 6 boys and 1 in 4 girls will experience a sexual assault before age 18. Youth ages 12 to 17 are 2.5 times as likely to be victims of rape or sexual assault, and on campus, 1 in 5 women and 1 in 16 men are sexually assaulted. And whereas during 2021, the Family Life Center, as the Certified Rape Crisis Center in Flagler County, provided 500 hours of peer crisis counseling for survivors, 1,608 support services, and answered 67 sexual assault crisis hotline calls for survivors of sexual assault and their families living in Flagler County. And whereas the Building Safe Online Spaces Together public awareness campaign, a program of National Sexual Violence Resource Center, is designed to continue the conversation about building online communities centered on respect, inclusion, and safety, and the ways we can work together to end sexual harassment, assault, and abuse online and offline. And whereas the City of Palm Coast joins advocates and communities across the country because we are strongest when we raise our voices together to change the culture to prevent sexual violence. Prevention requires addressing the root causes and social norms that allow sexual violence to exist. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and each day of the year is an opportunity to create change for the future. And whereas the Flagler County Advocate Alliance and Flagler Sexual Assault Response Team, comprised of victim advocates and representatives from Bunnell Police Department, Family Life Center, Flagler Beach Police Department, Flagler County Sheriff's Office, and the Office of the State Attorney, 7th Judicial Circuit, Flagler Fire Rescue, Advent Health Palm Coast, and many more, is hereby dedicated to strengthening victims and survivors in the aftermath of crime, building resilience in our communities and our victim responders, and working for a better future for all victims and survivors. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed, the Palm Coast Mayor and City Council recognize April 2022 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month in Palm Coast. Signed this 19th day of April 2022. Thank you. Trish, would you like to say a few words?
Good morning, Mayor and City Council. Thank you so much, John, for reading that for us. The stats speak for themselves, and I just want you, as well as the audience, to know the Family Life Center, along with every advocate that responds to a sexual assault, is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for free, whenever and wherever is necessary. And so when we talk about Sexual Assault Awareness Month, I want you all to remember that this crime is such an impactful, heartbreaking crime that happens. You know, they estimate that it costs about $123,000 over a victim's lifetime, just the victimization alone. And so it affects us monetarily, it affects us emotionally, it destroys the fabric of our community. And so we want the community to know that we are here. Family Life Center has been around for over 35 years. We will respond. A victim does not have to report to law enforcement in order to receive services. And so they can call the crisis helpline any time of day, and one of us will most certainly be there to provide support, emotional support, and any crisis counseling necessary. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to stand before you and to talk about this very necessary issue, and I appreciate your support. Thank you so much.
Trish, while you're taking your picture, I'm hoping that this proclamation increases the awareness and the availability of this service throughout the community.
Crime victims, right?
Yes.
Okay, but we don't have nobody here who will accept it?
Yes, we do.
Okay, good. It's too important. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. And thanks again for the job you do. It's very important. This proclamation is going to be about crime victims.
Sorry, we're coming again. Don't be here to support us, sisters. Support us.
I'd just like to say that crime victims is not just the poor, not just the rich, not just the healthy, not just those who are out of health that can't defend themselves. Victims are victims. Many times victims are victims of themselves for allowing some of us out there to do to them what they don't deserve. Sometimes I get emotional about these things because I saw the worst of crime victims being abused in front of me. Due to the fact of my job, it happened, and let me see if I get the courage to read this without a tear. Proclamation. Whereas the victim rights movement has resulted in the passage of laws at the local, state, and federal levels to establish essential rights of victims and for victims. Whereas in 1982, the President's Task Force on Victims' Crime envisioned a national commitment that launched the victims' rights movement, inspired in progresses, and continued to advance the cause of justice for crime victims. And whereas incorporating communities, existing experts, and trusted sources to support and efforts to fully serve survivors, we'll develop a criminal justice system response that is truly accessible and appropriate for all victims of crime. With the unwavering support of their communities and the victim service providers behind them, survivors will be empowered to face their grief, loss, fear, anger, and hope without fear of judgment. Very important. The way we judge victims out there. I'm sorry to get off the script a little. I've done that. Judge sometimes people being victims, and until I see everything. That's why I stopped judging people unless I knew the whole story behind what's going on. Whereas honoring the rights of victims, including the rights to be heard and to be treated with fairness, dignity, and respect, and working to meet their needs, rebuild their trust in criminal justice and social service systems. And whereas National Crime Victims' Rights Week provide an opportunity to recommit to ensure that all victims of crime, especially those who are challenging to reach or serve, are offered the culturally and linguistically accessible and appropriate and trauma-informed services that are offered to all victims of crime. And whereas make sure that I don't miss anything. Whereas the City of Palm Coast is here dedicated to strengthening the victims and survivors in the aftermath of crime, building resilience in our communities and our victims responders, and working for the better future of all victims and survivors. Whereas Flagler County Advocates Alliance, comprised of, parentheses, Flagler County Sheriff's Office, Victims Advocates, Flagler Beach Police Department, Victim Advocate, State Attorneys, Victims Advocates, 7th Judicial Circuit, and the Family Life Center. There you come. And the Victims of Service Coalition of the 7th Judicial Circuit are working together to support and protect the rights of victims of crime. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Mayor and the City Council of the City of Palm Coast of Florida, April 24th, 2022 through April 30th, 2022, be recognized as Crime Victims' Right Week, signed by the Mayor and the City Clerk, Virginia Smith. This is your proclamation. Would you like to say something? I'm pretty sure you have plenty to say.
I am actually not going to say something. Michelle is going to speak.
Oh, Michelle. Okay. Ah, finally we have a picture. And once again, I'm sorry if I get emotional about certain of these things, but this was part of my life since 1986, and I've seen the worst of crimes committed upon kids, babies, and people that can't defend themselves. It's the worst thing you could do. Is so cowardly when you go out there and attack those that can't defend themselves. It's uncalled for, okay? You want to show somebody that you're a man, go to work, get a second job, bring it home, and make sure you make your kids become doctors, lawyers, and mayors, and vice mayors, and whatever. But that's how you do it, not going out there and beating up somebody just because they don't like the way you came home, and sometimes even drinking. That's another problem that we have. But I've seen the worst of it, so that's why I get emotional about it a lot. Thank you.
Good morning. Michelle Ficacello, Victim Services, Flagler Beach Police Department. And on behalf of the Flagler County Advocate Alliance, I'd like to thank the City of Palm Coast for your continued unwavering support of furthering crime victims' rights and bringing awareness to the issue, because it is an ongoing issue. I think it always will be. We'll always be fighting for this. And I do want to say a message to our community that we are here. If you need us, please do not hesitate to reach out. There's advocates in pretty much every agency now. Whether you know we're there or not, call up, ask for us. If they don't have one there, they will know an agency that does have one, and just talk to us. If we can't help you, we will find somebody that can help you. So please reach out.
Michelle,
Thank you.
question, are the phone calls anonymous? Because there seems to be a stigma about people picking up the phone to call for help or call for help on behalf of someone else. So are they anonymous, just so that the public is aware of that?
Family Life Center has privilege, and theirs are anonymous, so when you call their hotline, you don't have to say who you are, and you can get information. Law enforcement, state attorney's office is a little bit different. If you call and you're an adult, we can, keep a confidentiality and help you through. But if it involves a child, like certain things are exempt from that because we're mandated reporters. So it really all depends.
But we shouldn't let the stigma prevent us from making that call.
Absolutely not. Do not hesitate to reach out. And also, if you're uncomfortable and you're not sure about confidentiality privilege, we all have websites. We all have information on those websites. We update it regularly, so you can check on those first. And you can also send us emails, messages. So just, reach out, talk to somebody, because we can help. Thank you.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Very good, okay. Okay, we'll now move on to a first of two presentations. The first presentation is Volunteer Firefighter Service Awards. Councilman Kloufis will deliver the presentation.
I think we should have Michelle, Jim, and Howard up here, right? Michelle, Jim, and Howard, you want to join us? Yeah? Come on up.
Michelle, Jim, Howard, don't be shy, come on up.
All right, Tim, everything good? Yeah. Good. I liked your speech, that was good. Yeah, nailed it. Short and sweet. Yeah.
Nick, go easy on him.
Hey, don't worry. Take your time. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, guys, first of all. Volunteer Fire Associates being recognized today. As we know, April is designated as National Volunteer Appreciation Month. Today, we'd like to recognize 3 Palm Coast Fire Department volunteers. Our fire department integrates volunteer members alongside full-time career firefighters to help protect our community. Palm Coast Volunteer Associates Michelle LaMonica, Jim Lee, and Howard Pfeiffer are being recognized for their 30 years of service to the Palm Coast Fire Department. Volunteers are a rare breed who remain humble in their pursuit to change the world, 1 hour at a time. In today's society, it is a rare occasion to be able to honor someone for 30 years of commitment to anything. We're so blessed to have selfless public service volunteers who have given a lifetime career of volunteer service to our city. Thank you to the Volunteer Fire Associates, Michelle LaMonica, Jim Lee, and Howard Pfeiffer for your lifetime of service. Thank you, guys. Would anyone like to say a few words? Tim? Again, Tim Ditto, is that? No?
You didn't have a good one. So.
Gotcha.
He spoke. Thank you, guys. I know that everything that we do as volunteers is really a selfless act. And although my quote was already in this speech, but I think it is this, in today's society, it's one of those things where people don't like to volunteer for anything, and then much less put in 30 years of service. I mean, hats off to you. I think that's definitely a special breed of people, so thank you.
The next item on our agenda is a presentation for employee recognition. Ms. Kershaw, do you have a presentation for us?
I do. So every month we like to recognize some of our employees who have gone above and beyond to serve our residents. So here is a quick recap of April's recognitions.
I would like to shine a light on the dozens of volunteers who work diligently and provide an immeasurable impact on our efforts here at the City of Palm Coast. Giving back in a way that you do is indicative of your appreciation of our community, and for that, we are very grateful for all that you do.
We want to recognize volunteer firefighter intern and lifeguard Jericho Taylor, who recently pulled over to the scene of a fatal car crash and performed CPR on the crash victim until fire rescue staff arrived. Your effort, poise, and initiative to help our residents in an emergency situation is beyond commendable, and we are proud to have you on our volunteer fire rescue team. We also want to shine a light on Lieutenant Matt Stevens, Driver Engineer Daniel Bouillon, Driver Engineer Joe Fajardo, and Firefighter Paramedic Bill Carrick, who were activated to assist with the Chipola Complex wildfires in Bay County on March 17th. Your steadfast response to this emergency is indicative of your commitment to the safety and well-being of the residents in that area of the state, and your efforts do not go unnoticed. Thank you.
I would like to recognize Senior Plans Examiner Harold Allen, who has gone above the call of duty in his role since joining our team last year. His dedication to division processes has allowed us to return all plan reviews previously outsourced to internal staff, saving the city money while also significantly improving the service levels at an exponential rate. Great job, Harold. I also want to recognize Planner Estelle Lenz, who has been instrumental in the work we do in the Planning Division, presenting to Land Development Regulation Board and completing variance, special exceptions, and site plan applications. Your commitment to providing excellent service to our city is evident in all that you do. Lastly, I want to recognize Luis Mendez, Chip Rich, Patrick Arena, and Bob Romeo, all members of our Code Enforcement Division who stepped up in big ways to help our Animal Control Division amid a busy season and staff shortages. Your contributions and being there to help when it was most needed provided a big boost to our ability to serve our residents. Thank you, everyone.
I would like to spotlight Youth Recreation Specialist Ashley Lewis, who did a great job in leading our spring break camp for students and making sure it was an unforgettable experience for all that participated. Thank you for all that you do, Ashley. I would also like to spotlight our Recreation Supervisor of Events, Jared Dawson, who hosted our Extravaganza event. Your results resulted in a fun and memorable event for our community. Thanks to our recreation staff that worked the event for making a lot of children and parents very happy. Finally, I would like to spotlight our parks maintenance staff who rejuvenated a location in Waterfront Park for a memorial tree dedication. The team added irrigation, planted some additional ornamental plants, pressure washed the coquina rock for the plaque, and added some fresh mulch to the area. Thank you, Dan Whitling, Rodney Ricks, Patrick Autry, and Casey Smith. Your professionalism and hard work made for a truly special ceremony.
I would like to recognize environmental specialist Garen Hopkins, who is helping to spearhead our efforts with this month's Wyland National Water Conservation Challenge and helping residents understand the importance of conserving water. I would also like to put a spotlight on Utility Systems Manager Peter Roussel for helping to put together a new series of educational videos that are designed to help residents gain a better understanding of our utility department while also giving helpful hints on how residents can save money on their monthly utility bill. Great job, team. Additionally, I would like to recognize customer service representatives Deanna Calderon, Rebecca Sanders, Pam Miller, Haley Hand, and Tracy Ann Hodges for their great efforts that they put forth in helping residents resolve their respective customer service issues with compassion, understanding, and professionalism. Thank you all.
Does that conclude your presentations for this meeting?
It does.
So let's give them a round of applause. As we move through the agenda, before we begin, I want to take a moment to discuss City Council processes related to approval or denial of items presented to City Council at all business meetings. For each workshop, City Council receives a comprehensive overview of each item. At that time, it is Council's opportunity to provide opinions and ask questions on each item. Just as a reminder, items that are quasi-judicial in nature will require council to base their decisions on only what is presented at the scheduled public hearings conducted at the scheduled business meetings. The purpose of a business meeting is for council to review and weigh all of the evidence and take action with decisions based on all information presented both at the prior workshop and today. So with that, we will move forward to our first section resolution. If council would read the resolution into the record, please.
Yes, this is item number G8 on the agenda. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Palm Coast, Florida, approving the terms and conditions of a work order issued to England, Thames & Miller, Inc. for engineering services for the final implementation of the Water Quality Monitoring Program, authorizing the city manager or designee to execute the work order, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, providing for implementing actions, and providing for an effective date.
Very good. Does the city manager want to make comment on this item, please?
Thank you, Mayor. This item would normally be on your consent agenda because it's operations and just business. But I'd like to just take a moment and note that it's really a showcase project that reflects the city's commitment to the health of our environment while being proactive through innovative approaches. So this is about water quality, as noted in your agenda packet. This is one of many quiet approaches that the City of Palm Coast does, basically to ensure our environment is a priority and the quality of life for our citizens is at the forefront. And I think it's only fitting that we'll be celebrating Earth Day this week and Arbor Day in a couple of weeks. And as you will hear from Carmelo, the project manager for this, this is in conjunction with our 2014 NPDES MS4 permit. And with that, thank you, Mayor, and Carmelo's here if you have any questions.
Good morning.
Good morning. I really don't have a whole lot to add. I came up in case you did have any questions.
So I'll help you out with that. I do have a question for either you or city manager. Are there awards given for water in the state of Florida?
Yes, I believe there are some. You have to either be nominated or...
Maybe I'll let the city
Ms.
manager
Bevan might
speak
answer
to
better.
that. Why don't you comment on the quality or the awards that our water might receive?
Well, water takes many different forms for us here. We have the best drinking water. I think that's one of our accolades, but...
Was the best drinking water in the state of Florida, is that correct?
Florida.
Yes.
And we also, time passes quickly, but just 2 years ago, I believe, Northeast Florida Regional Council recognized our efforts for stormwater management and floodplain management.
Very good. I think you should all be very proud of that, so thank you. Are there questions from City Council regarding water?
No questions, but that was on my comments over here. How many awards? I think within the last years, I think we've been getting them all. And I don't think it's in all Florida. I think it's Central and North Florida, if I'm not mistaken. But still, I tell you one thing. That's something that we should be proud of. And actually, not just proud of. It's just use it. I drink water from my refrigerator. I mean, from the faucet of my refrigerator every day. That's how much I trust our staff when it comes to the water management. But thank you for leading up the people. Thank you, guys.
Council member?
Yep. I would just like to state how technologically advanced some of the techniques that we're using for our water systems, not only from our SCADA systems, but even in this type of installation, that these are mobile deployments and they don't require what are essentially meter maids to go collect this data. It's all transmitted via cellular egress to a dashboard that we're able to monitor, and it's a very technologically up-to-date solution to a problem that we always want to stay ahead of. If we can monitor our water at any higher degree of precision, it prevents problems, forgive me, downstream. But I'm very impressed with the continued developments we have from a technology standpoint that we are using to leverage and improve our water quality every day, so thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
And-
Councilman Finelli, I don't want to put you on the spot, and I don't want to cross boundaries here, but can you comment on the information and the importance of water as it relates to our kids in the schools?
Sure. Well, water is essential for everybody to live, for sure. But yes, and I want to thank the City of Palm Coast for really taking a proactive approach to making sure that we maintain that quality over the years. Because the mayor is 100% correct, because it's not just water for me or the people in this room, but it's water for our children in the future. And we want to make sure that it's clean and clear for our environment and for future generations. So I love that I live in a city that's forward-thinking enough to make sure that we're monitoring drinking water and the water in our environment now to make sure that we preserve it for future generations.
Councilman, comment?
I just want to echo what Eddie Burkino just said. I too drink water from my faucet directly every single day, and our water is fine, tastes great. Thanks for all the hard work.
Very good. And let me just finish up. The maintenance, the quality, and the availability of water will become the most complicated of our many, many issues to be considered in the future. We've enjoyed many, many years of fluid availability, but I truly believe that it will become a complex part of the decision-making of future city councils to consider keeping our water quality at its highest level and making sure that it is always available to all of our residents. Any final comments you'd like to make?
Yeah, I did want to add something. I think in the resolution it stated it's a final phase. I don't think it's maybe the final. I think it's our second pilot. Last year we did a different R1 weir station. That was our initial phase, and that was the true pilot one. This is going to be our second one over in Mulberry. And I foresee having more of these as we implement these water quality stations. The initial cost up front is a little bit larger, but that's because it includes all the equipment and the initial install and training of staff to follow through on it. As we progress and move forward and just make it a routine maintenance, the costs really, that come way down, and we could just implement it and make it part of our routine. So I just wanted to add that point.
Very good. So,
Out of curiosity, if I may, Mayor, maybe this is the proper time, and I have to yield to the mayor to talk about this. Maybe the people to take the pledge regarding saving the water, maybe e-water, because it's your cup of tea.
so we, good point, and I think actually I will defer to the city manager on this, only because the administration of the pledge is important. So if you would.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We are promoting the Mayor's Challenge. So when you do turn on your faucet, think a little bit about what that means to everyone. The pledge is a very straightforward process. It helps you recognize the importance of water, and not only to what we consume, but to habitat, wildlife, and all those other trickles to the impacts that we have and how we can enhance our behaviors every day. And just to close out this item, Mayor, if I could, we do have images of where that water quality station is going to be installed within our stormwater system.
And how can residents take the pledge easily so that we can remain in first place?
Well, there's many different opportunities. You can actually just go to our website. It's very straightforward of how to take the pledge. There's a quick link. And then we hope that the public utilizes social media channels as well, that we're actively engaging you on different aspects of how to take the pledge. And Brittany, if you wouldn't mind coming up just to clarify what we have actually here today.
Sure. So right where you picked up your agenda, there's a cute little flyer that will have a URL or a QR code that you can scan. You go to mywaterpledge.com. Takes less than a minute to take the pledge, and you can actually be entered to win up to $3,000 towards your home utility bills. And a charity of your choice can be entered to win a Toyota Highlander hybrid. So it's very simple, and the flyers are right over by our media table.
Very good. And I'll finish the item by saying the challenge is that City Council and the City of Palm Coast face in light of the growth that we are experiencing means that we have to have the same level of water quality and water availability for the long-term future. The expertise and the delivery of water at this level is no small challenge, but absolutely essential for the youth and for the future. So we must start to plan now, and we must have the expertise to be able to deliver that water for the next 20 years. So thank you for your presentation. So at this time, if there's no other question or discussion from City Council, are there any members of the public that would like to comment on this item? Yes, sir.
Mike Martin from Palm Coast. I would just urge all of you to remember that we can't outgrow our aquifer. We have a limited supply of water, and we need to protect it not just for the next 20 years, but really for the next couple of 100 years. So I would just ask you to keep in mind when you're approving new developments to try to make sure that we can manage this growth in a way that we don't outgrow any of our resources or any of our infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Any other members of the public? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Mayor. I'm Paula Lewis, Cottonwood Port. While I appreciate reading the water quality information that is presented, I don't think we have standardized water quality across the board. Our water, when in the C-section, our water, when it comes out of the tap, is golden in color. It's not clear in color. And I had my husband install a reverse osmosis system because there's no way that our water quality flavor is good. And so my understanding is that we are on some of the older water system, and that the newer water system in some of the other developments, the water quality is much better, but I do not think we have standardized water quality.
Thank you for that comment. City Manager, you have that note?
Yes, and excuse me, there is a standard that we achieve through regulatory processes, and if Mr. Flanagan, if you wouldn't mind coming to the podium just for a brief statement on that level of service that we have to adhere to.
Good morning, Mayor, Council, citizens. Yes, when the lady asks or mentions different areas and different systems, our system, basically, what we call a distribution system, is the pipelines out there amongst the communities that actually provide for the service to your home, okay? There's 3 water plants. The C section, which was spoken about, is primarily, probably, serviced by our oldest water treatment facility, our lime softening facility. Now, that facility does have a standard when it comes to color. All water has some color to it. It's just a matter of what level of color content. Now, color does not cause a health issue when it comes down to the safety of the water. So it's an aesthetic issue for the most part. When we have high flows, or maybe I should start by saying, when we have normal flow periods, our color level is fairly low. However, when we have peak demands, dry periods, and peak demands of water consumption, we it forces us to utilize some of our well field that has a higher initial color content of the water coming to the treatment facilities, thereby causing there to be a slightly higher color content in our outgoing water to the community. But at the end of the day, color is not an issue of safety. I don't, if there's any other
Council, any
question that I
question
can help with.
on the issue?
If you don't mind, Steve, do you mind just quickly giving a brief abbreviation of our relationship with the St. John's Water Management District and how developments are passed from our governing body to them to ensure aquifer longevity?
Yes. Matter of fact, we just got our new CUP, Consumptive Use Permit, from the district for, as the mayor talked about, 20 years. Usually those things are like last year, roughly 20 years. Now you can go back and get modifications to it. But the state, through the district, basically determines what water we can have or utilize by the community. So in the state of Florida, the district determines how much water you can pull out of the ground for what needs or uses. We work very closely with the district on that. We have my feeling is we have a very good rapport with the district as well as DEP for all of our permitting for new communities and subdivisions and our own capital infrastructure projects. But as the mayor and the council all spoke to the pledge, I did the pledge. Hope everybody else does the pledge. It's extremely important that we all work hard to protect our most precious commodity. Carmelo was here, really, you know, he's our stormwater guy, if you will, for the city, or part of the major stormwater. And stormwater is so, as well, connected to the aquifer and recharging the aquifer and whatever goes down through the soils to get back to the aquifer. It's that, you know, important that you start with a product that's a pretty good product. So stormwater and stormwater treatment are vital as well to our ultimate goal of providing great water to the community.
This is how important when we have people that come over here and tell us exactly what's going on. This is worrisome for me because water should not just be a commodity, because water is our life. If you think you could live without water, wrong. Water should be of no taste, of no color, and of no smell. And if we have any of those, I don't know. It worries me a lot, and I don't know if we could do anything, if there's anything we could do from your side to, you know, help to solve this problem, because if I would turn that faucet on and I see yellow water or golden water, I'd probably be worried too, even though I take your guarantee, because it's sincere. I guarantee it's sincere. You're a good professional. I've had their experience talking to you, and you telling me that's safe to drink, fine, but if I would see it gold, I kind of worry about it.
I understand your concern, Vice Mayor, but at the end of the day, it is not a safety issue. It is important aesthetically, I agree. And color, taste, and odor are all parts of drinking water and how they're handled. But at the end of the day, you know, our treatment facilities are very good treatment facilities, but in any process, if you will, it's not a perfect process. And there's no sensible way that we can spend the amount of money that it would take to, if you will, work towards perfecting the water with no color, no taste, no. Now, at the end of the day, we win taste awards. So obviously, you know, we're doing very well with the treatment process that we have, and our operators are outstanding in their field. They're highly regarded, just the best of the best.
So, Mr. Flanagan, just correct me or help me with this. The water that we service or we serve is regulated by the state of Florida?
That's correct.
So maybe our conversation should best be made to our local representatives, or perhaps we go to Tallahassee and take care of the issue that you might have up there.
I still think we had a great water. I tell you, I trust you completely. And I trust you so much that I want to make sure that I make the motion to approve this resolution. That's how much I trust you. Would I be concerned because of that? It's the perception that the water could be done good. But for what you're telling me, and trust me, wholeheartedly, I believe you. Because I've spoken to you, I've seen what you're all about, okay? I trust you 1,000,000%.
I appreciate that. And I will tell you, I've gotten a kick out of it over the years because there are certain people in the community obviously know who we are and what we do, and especially when you wear these tags, and predominantly, you know, and clearly show them out in the community. That I've been in multiple restaurants where I'm trying to be healthier myself, okay? So one of the things I do now is I don't, we grew up drinking Coca-Cola, and I'm wandering off of that or trying to get away from that. So when I go to the restaurant, I drink water only for the most part. And those people that see you drinking the water and know it's coming straight out of the tap to go into that glass, they ask you, so you work for the water company and you drink the water? It must be really good, huh? Yes, it is. And there's where I will end it. Yes, it is. Very good water.
Is that analogous to the doctor that needs medical attention that goes to his own hospital?
Yeah.
Very
Mr.
good. Thank
Flanagan,
you.
quick question for you to go back to the lady's question or comments that was up here. So it's not the facility or the infrastructure that is causing the color change to the water. It's where the water is coming from that is where the color is coming from.
That's correct. The majority of the color comes straight out of the well, and then we reduce it at the treatment facilities.
So it's not an aging facility or the infrastructure, the pipe works. It's actually where the water's coming from and how it's treated.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Are there any other members of the public that would comment?
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Board, my name is Patrick Del Sordo. This past February marked 40 years resident Palm Coast. And I can tell you now, I've known Mr. Flanagan for pretty close to that many years. Our water quality in Palm Coast was always rated #1. Back when I moved here, when it was ITT Corporation, it's still as good as it was back then, if not better. My beef isn't the quality of the water, it's a challenge. It's not really a beef, it's a question for you, sir. We want to take this challenge, we want to conserve water, we want everything to be good. We want everything to be here for our children, our grandchildren, and beyond. Belterre Parkway, pouring down rain, our water is still sprinkling the plants, the grass. It's running over the edges. It's never turning off. It's constantly on. I ride a motorcycle. Belterre Parkway is soaking wet all the time. When is it going to turn off? I understand it's reclaimed water, but reclaimed from where? Aquifer. Where's it coming from? Why can't we shut those things off? And it's not just Belterre, it's all over Palm Coast. The sprinklers are just constantly running, and they always put a sign up, water testing. For an hour and a half, 2 hours? It's not needed. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Yes.
Is there another speaker that would like to comment on this ordinance? I'm sorry, on this resolution? Seeing no one come forward, I will close public comment. Any additional final comments from City Council at this time?
I used to have that same question, and I think there's a very good answer to that question, and I'm not sure if staff would like to answer it, but a lot of the time, especially during a long period of storms, these, basically egress water is turned on to alleviate some of the tension out of our water facilities. So we're trying to pump water out and onto the top of our, substrate, or however you want to say that, for it to be filtered back through. So we're actually trying to alleviate all the additional water that has occurred in a short period of time. And I used to have the same question, why during rainstorms are fire hydrants open or what have you? But it's actually part of the entire system trying to get water back out and then slow it down from coming into our system by refiltering it through our planes.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
City Manager, going to close out the comment on this?
And validate that, I'm sure it was off on a few things.
Thank you, council member. That was a very accurate depiction of the cause and effect, partially. The other is that we do routine testing and damage control of the irrigation system, and sometimes that takes running the system a little longer than what you would think. Thank you.
Based on that, I would like to make a motion to approve this resolution.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the resolution.
I'll
Is there a
second.
second? I have a second. Any additional discussion by City Council? So all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Does the clerk have the count?
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next section H, which is ordinance second read. If council would read number 9 into the record, please.
Yes, this is agenda item H9, which is an update of the comprehensive plan based on the evaluation and appraisal process. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Palm Coast, Florida, providing for the amendment of the City of Palm Coast 2035 Comprehensive Plan, as previously amended, pursuant to Chapter 163 Florida statutes, amending the following elements: public recreation and open space, capital improvements, and public school facility, to update references related to capital improvements to reflect best available data and changes in local conditions, providing for conflicts, ratification of prior acts, codification, severability, and an effective date.
Good. Thank you, Counselor. Mr. Papa, do you have a brief presentation for us?
I just really have a brief summary of the events that have occurred since you heard this at first reading, just to fill you in on the completion of this process of amending our comprehensive plan. So we had a first reading on the proposed amendments on February 1st, 2022. These amendments were then sent to the state agencies. That includes the state land planning agencies, Department of State, Department of Transportation, Department of Environmental Protection, the Water Management District, and the Regional Council, to provide them with an opportunity to provide any objections, recommendations, or comments on the proposed amendments. So they had 60 days to do that. We did not receive any comments from any of those review agencies regarding any objections, recommendations, or comments. And so there are no changes from the first reading of the text amendments. And staff believes that these amendments are ready for adoption at this time.
So I would ask City Council, any comments on the discussion regarding comprehensive plan? I do. I'll wait till the end, but please go ahead.
I just want to remind everybody out there, especially out there, that this is required / mandated by the state, that we looked into and submit an approved comprehensive plan. So this is something that it's not that we could just do away with any of these things. We have to do it. It's mandated / required, whatever order you want to put it, that we have to do this. Thank you, Mr. Papa, for doing what you did. Thank you.
So let me just say, help me along with this, Mr. Papa. First, thank you for your skill, care, and diligence in shepherding the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan for the City of Palm Coast was first approved approximately when?
It was first approved in 2004.
Okay.
There was a major update in 2010.
In 2010.
That updated essentially the time frame for the comprehensive plan from, I believe it was 2020 at that time to 2035. And in between there's of course the not recommended, but required review based on changes to state statutes, any changes in local conditions. And you update the comprehensive plan sort of in between.
Okay. So I'm going to split your presentation into two pieces. So as the Vice Mayor was so kind to say, those are the state requirements. I'd like to move the conversation just briefly to address the fact that our comprehensive plan for the city of Palm Coast is truly the blueprint, the vision and blueprint for both the present and the future. So from staff's point of view, when should and how should the comprehensive plan be reviewed, updated, and revisioned for the current growth we're experiencing and for the future opportunity as the city looks to move westward?
Sure. I think we've discussed changing, first of all.
And I'm sorry, before you begin, and this is thanks to Vice Mayor who had talked many meetings ago about how to address components of the comprehensive plan. So I'm kind of putting Mr. Papa on the spot. How do we go about beginning that process?
Sure, really. So the comprehensive plan is a vision of the community. It's not staff's vision. It's of how the community moves forward. So probably the most important thing about looking at any update to the comprehensive plan that looks to maybe change gears, look to a different direction, or look to a different changes in goals, objectives, and policies, you'll need the involvement of the community. And that's the first step. We need to engage the community in a conversation about, and update them on where we are with our growth, what's our population, what's been the projected population, where are we with our infrastructure, do we have enough, what more do we need if we were to project to this particular type of growth. And so that's the first step, that discussion, that conversation with the community with the help maybe of a facilitator to ask the right questions and to get the right feedback from the neighborhoods at that time.
So obviously the education component first, and then along with that, the input from the community. Is it your opinion? Is it staff's opinion? I don't know whether to address it to you or Mr. Tyner. Are the complexities, the intricacies, the requirements for the future more complicated and increasingly need our attention as we move forward into the future?
I think it becomes more challenging. We, with 35,000 people back in 2010, you had 35,000 opinions. At 100,000 probably, so we'll be close to that when we start this process of updating. There will be that additional amount of input that we would expect to get from the community. And as a community that was sort of just starting in 2000 with our first comprehensive plan, maybe it had more of a feel of, the challenges were always there because no one thought that we were going to stay at 35,000, but at 100,000, where we go from here, there will be the additional challenges of the water supply and our roads and the other infrastructure that we have, the type of parks that we have. Are we still just, maybe with the changes in demographics, the type of parks that we provide, whether it's more ball fields, tot lots, or parks that cater more to a senior population. Those are all part of the challenges, and those are all part of the conversation we need to have with the community as to the vision of how the city grows. And
so it sounds like we have precious little time to focus and concentrate on preserving the amenities that make up the lifestyle that we all love and caused us to move here, to protect them, but also to prepare ourselves for a future, a vision for the future that is quite a bit different than perhaps we have seen over the last 21 years. Mr. Tyner, do you have a comment to add?
Well, I just appreciate Jose so much and his explanations, and I know during the SAP process there's been a lot of discussion about looking at really doing a comprehensive approach on updating our comprehensive plan. As planning staff, we feel that there is definitely a need. As Mr. Papa had mentioned, I think it was 2010 the last time that we updated it. So we are looking forward to, at the end of this year, next fiscal year, to start that process, to reach out to the community, get the feedback from the community, to technically look at it, to update our transportation element of our comprehensive plan and looking out to, 20, I think we were playing about 2040. 45, to go out and do that vision.
And as we consider the possibility of westward expansion, I guess zoning is sort of is top of mind in terms of an integral part of the comprehensive plan for the future.
Yes, sir.
I tell you, this is, sometimes it's almost unfair for you guys because staff is doing a great job. We dream it and you work on it. You work your butts off to come up with the solutions for what we basically propose and, excuse the word, dream about it, okay? And you guys have been there. I have no problem with starting with the people that actually ask us what we want and how we do. And then there you are and telling us, listen, maybe that's a little too much. Maybe that's a little too little. So you've been keeping us in check when it comes to you, and you guys do a very good job. Absolutely a good job. That's all I have to say regarding this. Thank you.
Any comments from anyone? Council.
Just one thing to follow up, that's how the comprehensive plan amendment process on a holistic basis, what you're talking about here, starts with getting feedback, and then changes that are made are required to be based on data analysis that's done. So changes to the transportation element, things like that, have to look at real world data and studies to support any changes that are made. So that would be another step in the process of trying to get there.
But all starting again with public participation in the form of some series, some future schedule of public meetings is what you have in mind. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Very
good. A lot
good.
of public outreach.
Okay. All right. Yes, sir.
Mayor, City Council, thank you. I just wanted to add that in preparation to have a robust community meetings, we applied for a grant through the DEO, a technical grant to help us. It's a $75,000 grant. That's the maximum to help us, ensure that we can involve as many people as possible when it comes time for those stakeholder and citizen meetings.
Good to hear. Okay. Any final comment? Very good. Thank you. All right. So at this time, are there any members of the public that would like to comment on this ordinance regarding amendments to the comprehensive plan?
Steve Carr, Palm Coast. Part of the comprehensive plan is about, like you said, zoning, and it says there's objective 3.3.5 that says protection of residential area from inappropriate land uses. And then under that, there's policy 3.3.5.2. The city shall develop neighborhood comparability criteria which shall be utilized by the city to review applications for future land use amendments, rezoning, and special exception to ensure that proposed land uses and development do not adversely impact existing residential areas. I talked to you earlier about Florida Park Drive. There's 8,400.
Sir, I'm just, if you have a different issue, we're not
this is about the comprehensive plan.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Mainly is what can we get to help make sure that the comprehensive plan is followed? Mainly. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Carr. Any other members of the public? Yes, sir.
With my public 2 cents worth in, Mark Lewis, Palm Coast. Maintain our saltwater canal system, please, as part of the comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Yes, sir.
Surprise, Mr. Mayor. Patrick Miller used to sit on that side for about 35 years. There to you, the evaluation appraisal process makes sure that this staff, that manager, and that council are following the plan to not adversely affect what they have previously said they would do. Simple and stated.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any other members of the public that would like to comment on the ordinance amendments at this time? Seeing none, I will close public comment, come back to the dais. Any final comments or discussion on the item? I would like council to remind us there is one other element that we have not brought forward is our requirement from the state of Florida to respect property rights in conjunction with the work on our current and future comprehensive plan. I think, am I correct that that's something that we must,
That element's already been adopted.
So it's been adopted, but
Yes.
could you just explain briefly what that means?
Sure. The legislature made a change, and last year, the year before, actually, I think it was, that required all local governments to adopt a property rights element within their comprehensive plan, and the requirements of that element were laid out in the statute, or the city or county could choose the language of that element. But it had to be consistent with the statutory requirements, and those requirements to basically make sure that in all land use decisions that are made, individual property owners' rights were considered as part of any, future development. So that's in essence what it is. Are you looking for something more specific?
No,
'Cause
just,
I can have
I just
staff
want to put that out because
read
that's
through it, but-
something that is a thread that goes throughout the process.
Already an element in the plan. That was the last amendment that was made to the comprehensive plan prior to this year process. So that's in there and being followed as far as, projects coming forward.
Thank you for that. Any questions? If not, I would ask for a motion at this time.
That I could understand where you're coming from completely with the land use and being it a priority, but I'll speak about it at a different time. I don't think this is proper to talk about it right now. I just think that, I don't even want to go there now regarding the land use and who does what, when, how. That's why we legislators. So we have the power of change some of those things. So, but at the proper time, I'll talk about it.
Okay. I'm looking for a motion now.
So moved.
I have a motion to approve the ordinance, and Councilman Danko, a second. Any additional discussion? Then I would ask for a roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Branquinho,
Yes.
Councilmember Danko,
Yes.
Councilmember Finelli,
Yes.
Councilmember Clufus,
Affirmative.
Mayor Alphen.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. We'll move on to next item, H10. If council would read the ordinance into the record, please.
Yes, this is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Palm Coast, Florida, pursuant to Article 4, Section 6 of the City of Palm Coast Charter, adopting an increase to the mayor and city council members' compensation, providing for legislative findings, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing for an effective date. Mayor?
Thank you, Councilor. So at this time, I would ask, based on the evidence that has presented as referred to earlier in the meeting, are there any questions about the evidence and or data that's been presented at the prior workshop, the prior business meeting, or subsequently?
All right.
Vice Mayor?
Yes. It's no secret that I'm completely against this raise, especially at the level of 365 or 370%. And why do I say that? First of all, it's the wrong timing. There are people out there hurting. They don't have enough money to make a living. Meanwhile, we're going to give ourselves 365% raise. We have, and that, before anybody takes any fault, I'm probably the biggest one at fault for us to have such a low rating as a body here. We have the lowest of everything that the city had. We have the lowest. Meanwhile, we're going to give ourselves a raise. There's one thing that we cannot be accused of. That I must tell you. It's transparency. The mayor brought it up in front of everybody. anytime we get this agenda that you could read through, we get it all at the same time. You get it at the same time, I get it at the same time. The only advantage I have is that every Monday I meet with a city manager and discuss certain things to be talked about here today. That's the only advantage I have. When it comes to the people coming here, I said it last week, one of the reasons were that we probably opened the field to better qualified candidates. I think I'm a good candidate. I'm proud of what I've done here for most of the time. I think this time here has been a pleasure to work for this city, to work with my colleagues. And actually, I want to say this, we agree to disagree. I have nothing against anybody in this dais. Actually, I love one so much, I want to adopt them. But we don't always agree, we don't have to agree with everything. So, I think that we should listen to the people of Palm Coast. That's what we're here for. And for what you heard, what I've heard, people are not in favor of this. I don't want to make any motions because any motions other than the 12 to 15, going from 9 to 12 and 11 to $15,000 raise, I wouldn't be voting in favor of. But once again, we all have different things. I just want to remind people, and here's why we don't agree. And I don't agree with my friend, a good friend, Nick, when he said, where do you have people that handles $250 million of a budget for free? That are people. I did it. I handled, as part of the Board of Education in Elizabeth, New Jersey, 430 or 36, I'm not sure, it was 430 millions of dollars. 3,000 employees, 21,000 students. I did it for zero. And I was so proud of me. I was so proud of me for doing it for zero. This job is still part of community service. Think of community service. Of course we have expenses, and those have to be paid. We have expenses, and they are paid. Okay. Now, when it comes to going into health, benefits, I don't know about it. I really don't know about it. There are people out there that I know that are paying over $1,000, $2,000 a month for benefits because they never got them through their retirement or through their jobs. We should keep that in the back of our heads. Keep it right there. What these people go through. My case, I have a decent pension. I have decent health care. But then again, I'm old. I'm retired. Funny, I'm saying old in Palm Coast. Okay. Remember, we have to. We cannot please everyone here, ever. The minute we try to please everyone, we'll please no one. But at least we got to get the totality of the circumstances. Forgive the police term. The totality of circumstances. And look at you and say, all right, what are you thinking? You think we deserve this? You think we deserve that? Honestly, it's a wrong timing. And it breaks my heart to have to say no to my colleagues over here. Because once again, I have nothing against anybody here. It's just that we think a little differently, and I have to respect that. I don't have to agree with it, okay? And once again, I would like to tell my colleagues, I'm sorry that if I'm coming across like I don't respect you. It's not what it is. I don't do this out of disrespect. I do this out of a feeling, and I'm a man of convictions. And this is my conviction, and that conviction is done with the utmost respect. I mean it. If I have any other comments, I'll use them a little later, but that's it for now.
Thank you for your comment. Councilman Kloufis, any comment before we proceed?
Absolutely. I would like to reiterate my point of my opinion and my purview and having experience on our council that the success of our council and the effectiveness of our council in and for our community is really a function of our diversity. And when we speak about diversity, it's hard to form any type of diverse opinion when you have 5 individuals from the same background or retirees sitting up here in similar situations. And I think judging based on community feedback, that we need higher quality and a more diverse opinion upon this dais so that we can make decisions for the greater Palm Coast. If we don't allow individuals, at least some individuals, to be from the working class and have families and children on this board, then we are going to have all very similar opinions, and that's not something that will promote overall success of city council decisions. We could have 10 people up here, but if we're all from the same point of life, it's not going to make a difference. The diversity of our opinions is what formulates a great council. And into the future, I think having someone who can compensate their working class life with being on our council will be a net benefit to not only our council, but to the community. And sitting up here, I concur, it's not an easy move to make by saying that I believe we'll have even the slightest higher percentage chance of having a qualified candidate sitting up here because of the importance of our seat and how vital it is to have competent, diverse opinions up here to form a successful outcome for Palm Coast to keep us on a successful trajectory. So I absolutely respect all of our opinions up here, but I just want to reiterate why I think it's important for our future and for the diversity of this council to offer a higher salary, but also benefits. People who have a family, who have a wife and kids, the benefits can be more beneficial than not. Retirees don't necessarily have, the same necessities that someone in our working class can have, but they still represent a large cross-section of our community. So I think it's important that we're inclusive and offer the opportunity for everyone to participate in local government and not just individuals, which I am fortunate enough to be one of, that have enough time and flexibility in their lives to be able to participate.
Thank you for your comment. Councilman Danko?
I'm just going to say to Councilman Clufus, ditto. I couldn't express it any better. Thank you, Nick.
Councilman Finelli?
So I've spent a lot of time listening, talking to people. I know I hear a lot about 365% raise, but then when I ask people, do you know how much council and mayor are compensated for their responsibilities, they don't know what the numbers are. And then when I share that with them, they do share that seems a bit low for the responsibilities that are put on the position and the demands of time that are put on the position. So I've listened, I've heard, and I would like to motion an amendment to the ordinance this morning. So my motion would be, I've gone ahead and looked at the information that was provided to us on similar cities with populations similar to ours. I've taken out the two strong mayor systems because they are not the same form of government that we have, and I've also removed I've removed the city of Palm Coast from it. So I looked at 16 cities with like populations, and I averaged them out in their mayor's salary and their annual council salaries. The mayor's salary, the average of these 16 cities is $30,039.47, and the annual council salary is $24,097.61. And it is a true average. There are 8 cities that pay less than that to their mayor and council, and 8 cities that pay more than that average to their mayor and council. The average population of all those cities is 102,000 citizens. So it is similar in comparison. So that would be the first part of the amendment to the ordinance that I'd like to make. The second would be that moving forward, we never find ourselves in this situation again, and therefore the compensation percent increase that is voted upon for city employees would also apply to the council and the mayor. So if we go ahead and we vote a 3% increase to city employees, the mayor and council will receive that same increase. If it was 2%, they would receive that increase as well or higher. So moving forward, the baseline would be the $30,039 or $24,097 with a percent increase in the same amount as the other employees in the city. The third part of the amendment would be to include council and mayor in the benefits that the other city employees receive, because it is important that the health and well-being of our council they are in good physical and mental condition to do the job that is asked of them. And if they don't have benefits to be able to do that, it could put the city in a bad position if one of them or several of them had health issues and did not have the benefits to be able to seek medical assistance. With that being said, I know that it is a limited term position of 4 years, and I know that some councilman or mayor may not want to leave their current benefits and not be able to return to those after those 4 years, that council and mayor have the option of receiving the portion of money that would go to their benefits in compensation towards their salary if they don't need the benefits, or receiving those benefits in lieu of that additional compensation. So that would be my motion and amendment to the ordinance.
So let me just ask council, do you need some clarification on Mr. Finelli's motion?
If you don't mind, if I can just kind of read it back to you to see if I have the motion on the table. So the motion on the table, I believe, by Councilmember Finelli is, number one, to change the amount of compensation shown in the ordinance to $30,039.
$30,039.47.
Oh, I missed that. And 47 cents for the mayor, and for the city council, $24,097.61.
That is correct.
Okay. Number two, that any increase to city employees, is that a cost of living increase?
So it would be the increase that is voted upon yearly, the COLA, basically, the
For
COLA increase.
any cost of, so
Yes.
it wouldn't include any merit increases to city employees, just cost of living, okay. Any cost of living increase to city employees that's approved will also apply to the council and mayor's salaries or compensation, okay. And then the third item was that each member of the city council will be eligible to receive the city's group health and benefits program at the benefit level of city employees?
Yes.
Okay. General city employees? Okay. Was there anything else that I missed on that third item?
Or if they don't need those, they would be able to receive in compensation the money that the city would put towards those benefits.
Okay, so if there's a,
Please.
okay, so if the council member essentially declines those benefits, they are paid.
And the approximate cost of that, as best as I was able to figure out in a short period of time, was approximately $6,000 to $8,000 a year.
Okay, I think I have clarification.
Counselor, have you
Thank
documented the motion? Okay. I would ask for a second.
I would second that motion.
I have a second.
And
Additional discussion by city council on the motion which has a second.
Yep.
I will. Colleague,
Public comment
colleague
coming.
Finelli, yeah, before we go to, those 16 cities that you checked, were they the same type of government with strong mayor? Were they strong mayor, or were they,
No, I eliminated the ones that were strong mayor governments because it's not apples to apples.
okay. Just to let people out there that we are creating a contract without an arbitration from somebody who's neutral. That, in my personal view, it's the worst we could do for you. We're creating a contract for us with benefits without any type of arbitration other than your comments here. So if you're talking about unfairness, that's what it is. For now, that's my comments.
Okay. So before I open up for, okay, settle down, please. For public comment, I do have one question that would be my comment before public comment, which is simply said, and I do appreciate the emotional approach and the sentimental approach and the, I guess, union approach that you're taking, so I respect that. But here's my question. Should a resident's ability and availability to serve as a city council member be dependent on their financial wealth? That's the question I put out. And I think that Councilman Kloufis, Councilman Finelli, and Councilman Danko has alluded to that as well. do we restrict our candidates from running for office and serving the community because we are tying it to their financial wealth and ability to serve without a adequate or actually a limited compensation? So with that question, let's open it up to public comment. And will the first speaker please approach?
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. My name is Sue Urban, a resident of Palm Coast. With all due respect, sir, by doing this, you are limiting me to being able to run for this council. I am permanently disabled, Social Security dependent, and you would, by increasing this, you would be eliminating me from being able to run for this office, because by law, I would not be able to run for office because I cannot make that income. And by all due respect, by running for office, you are not a city employee. You are the council. You should not be getting benefits. You are volunteering for this position. You all knew your compensation when you ran for this office, okay? And in all due fairness, by doing the math, you are in this meeting approximately 3 to 5 hours, 3 times a month. So let's say 3 hours, and maybe a few special events throughout the month, a couple hours for preparation here and there. So let's say you get paid $100 per hour for your time, times 3 meetings per month with those extra hours. That's $18,000 per year. I think that's reasonable for your time. And not all of you attend every single event that you go to. I also, Mr. Mayor, notice I'm sitting here in this audience, and not once has a certain council member turned and faced this audience other than the time that I'm standing here at this podium, and I demand the respect for them to look up at me while I'm speaking. I find it very offensive for you to stand and sit there and while we're standing here in these meetings and ask for a raise at a time when all of us are struggling to make it. Half the people in this room, I can guarantee you, barely have enough food in their cupboards to feed their families. They are struggling to scrape together the money to pay their bills, let alone to go out and have time to go for entertainment or to take their children out to do fun things. They are literally barely scraping it together to get by. We can't take our kids to our public park because it's closed, because a $15 million splash pad and park is closed because it's coming apart. And now we have to send it out to contract for someone else to fix it. And you're asking us for a raise in benefits. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comment. Next speaker, please. All right, please. Yes, sir.
Robert McDonald, Palm Coast. When I get done with my 3 minutes, not one person sitting up on this council is going to want to look at me. But I'm going to tell you the God's honest truth. For 30 years, I worked for the United States Postal Service, and I was a union delegate. And you know what the biggest fight and argument had? Benefits. Benefits. The councilman elated to all kinds of numbers, but he didn't tell us how much the benefits were going to cost. Okay? 4 months ago, I had a heart attack. My benefits paid a $90,000 bill to Advent Health, $90,000. He never said about how long the benefits were going to be given to you after you got out. Now, like this young lady just elated to. And I'm not picking on anybody. I won't mention anybody's name. We have a sitting councilman who this is his second term. So he knew what the job paid, what the job required, but said, I'll do it again. We got another councilman sitting up here who said, I won't vote on anything that's going to increase your taxes.
Well, guess what? Something's gonna happen about that. We got a new councilman who said, I'm not gonna vote because it's not going to affect me. It's gonna affect my predecessor. Last but not least, next to last, we got a vice mayor. He's the only one out of 95,000 people that are gonna stand up and say, this is wrong. Finally, we got our mayor. I have the utmost respect for my mayor. I'll take a bullet for my mayor. But mayor, this ain't gonna work, Bell. It ain't gonna work. And obviously, we got 40 people in the room. 5 people are gonna decide what 95,000 people are gonna have to pay for. It ain't right, and you know it ain't right. But my last question is, why now? Why now did you decide that you were gonna go for a raise? You didn't go for a raise when, I can't mention his name, when our senior councilman got elected. You didn't ask for a raise. You didn't ask for a raise when you all got elected. But now you want to shove it down our throats. It ain't right. But again, you know what? You all live in this city. You're going to pay for the tax increase just like I am.
Thank you for your comment. Please, please. Have respect for the next speaker, please. Yes, sir.
Mike Martin, Palm Coast, and I can answer your question, Mr. Mayor, very succinctly. The fact that you all are sitting there proves that people are willing to work for $9,600 a year. The fact that we've had a city council since the city was incorporated proves that people are willing to work for the current salary, because there was no salary originally. The fact that we have a strong city manager, weak mayor, weak council, means that you do not do full-time work. Ms. Bevan sits there and runs the city day to day. She makes those decisions. None of you put in the hours that she does. The reason that the salary is set the way it is because we have a weak mayor, weak council. So Ms. Bevan makes those decisions. If you want to make yourselves a full-time job, then I suggest that you abolish the city manager, take her salary, and pay yourselves the raise. I don't believe that is the right thing to do, because I think Ms. Bevan and her staff do a great job, far better than any one of you can do. And again, I will challenge you, because Councilman Kloufis repeatedly states this is all about attracting better candidates. If this is about attracting better candidates, make yourselves ineligible for this raise. Leave it so that only the people who will succeed you deserve this raise, not yourselves. Because when you include yourselves, no matter what you say your motivation is, it comes across as greed, flat out plain greed, that you need more of our money to do your job that you're currently doing for the money that you get paid. So be honest about this. Ask yourselves, what are you really doing this for? If you really believe this is about attracting better people, then you should not give this raise to yourselves. Make it so only the people come after you. And I have never heard of a position where if you're offered health benefits, you don't get the health benefits, you get paid that money in additional cash. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. You should all be ashamed of yourselves for even considering this kind of thing. This is not about enriching yourselves. Your jobs are about serving the city, giving of yourselves. You just said this is National Volunteer Month. You don't practice what you preach. If you really believe that we should recognize our volunteers and we should all volunteer our time and effort, then why are you demanding this kind of raise? Give yourselves a reasonable raise. I do support that you should get more money for what you do. But to give yourselves this kind of raise is just outrageous, uncalled for, and absolutely shameful.
Appreciate your comments. Please have respect for the next speaker. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. My name is Alan Peterson, and I spoke before you at the first reading. Mayor, at that reading, you listed a long list of duties and responsibilities that the council has. Those were the same list of duties that I had when I served back in 2008. So your duties haven't changed. The budget's bigger, but the duties and the time should not have changed materially. This is community service. This city was built on community service of its representatives. And I think that you will have a very extremely detrimental reaction and future of people willing to serve and willing to provide their time and their expenses to serve this city if they think that you as a council are more interested in money for yourselves than they are for community service that you're not providing to the residents. So I urge you to reconsider the amount of the raise. I had said earlier that the 12 and 15,000 range is a reasonable one for catch-up. I would support some type of inflation or cost of living increases, but you're changing the atmosphere of the city's opinion of you as individuals and as the council as a whole. The biggest drawback to getting certain working class people who work full-time during the day is the fact that this meeting is held in the morning. If you held both meetings at night, you might get more representatives, but that would hurt the people who are not able to attend and drive at night. Mr. Kloufus talks about age. With age comes experience. I'd like to think it came with wisdom, but that perhaps is debatable. But at least it comes with experience. You are all qualified in your professions. To get different qualifications would be a plus, but every one of you and every past member who has served on this council has been qualified to serve the council. So please reconsider the extent of your request and the long-term effect it will have on the community.
Thank you for your comment. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Mayor and City Council. Gene Dowd, Palm Coast resident. A couple of the comments been repeated for the last 6 weeks over this issue, or 2 months. No tax increase. I will not vote for a tax increase. I have an 8-year-old granddaughter. She calls her grandmother every time she loses a tooth. She says, can I get $5 or $10 and I'll put half in my savings? So that's a tooth fairy. So I guess the money that comes to this raise will not come from the taxpayers or the tax raised through buying and supporting Palm Coast. So thank you for that. Better candidates, I understand that. I've talked to a couple of you once, maybe twice. Nick, you found a way to balance it. I understand that not everybody can do that. I should have said, I think you should get a raise. I think the council was you gentlemen sitting up there in the last 15 years haven't gotten a raise, the predecessors. They didn't do you any favors, but I also understand it was 2008. I believe it is a full-time job. You gentlemen have to read a lot of paperwork. No one cares. A comment was made at the workshop last week that only 13 people got up here. Well, I can tell you there'll be more than 13 voting for each of you that run for re-election. Good luck with that. And ingenuous, what petition? The vice mayor brought up that someone started a petition, but you didn't hear about it, Mayor. I think that's not a truthful answer, but not a genuine. And to the interim councilman, 2 weeks ago, someone made, I think it was the vice mayor, made a motion to change the amounts. And he only got a second for discussion. And I believe Councilman Kloufus, and if I miss Vanelli, started talking about a different amount. Now we're here 2 weeks later talking about a different amount. Last week talking about a different amount. If you vote for this raise, good luck with getting reelected, but also good luck with staying in office. I would hope that gentleman starts a petition to recall all of you, because you own that vote and you disrespect the men and women in this room and in this town. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Please respect the next speaker. Thank you for your comment. Next speaker, please.
Yes, good morning, Vincent Ligori. You know, at the top of the organizational chart of the city are the citizens, and the council and every city department reports to it. Guess what? You're fired. Here's why. What you are doing is comparable to my saying the people said you're fired. You're not listening to the people. You're not giving the people the opportunity to vote on this. Let me continue. I'm not against your getting a salary increase. I like Mr. Branchino's suggestion. Start at 12 to 15,000 and work up. Get what the city employees get annually. No benefits. You need a grade level. Why should Mr. Clufus, this gentleman, who's been on 8 years, get the same, and Mr. Finelli, who's been on 6 months, get the same salary? You need grade levels. Who establishes that? The people. Who establishes whether they want to run or not? The people. We vote. We look at candidates' credentials and we say, you're good, you're bad, you're in, you're out. Okay? All right, let's continue. So what is really needed here? We need citizen participation. We need a charter revision saying, hey, the next council that comes in might say, I want 90,000, Mayor. I want 90,000. And we're right back to point A. No. Grade levels should be assigned. You come in as a junior, you leave as after 8 years, good luck. And you get a grade level all the way. So start at 12 to 15,000 and work up. Now, one councilman said he knocked on 1,000 doors. Now he wants $44 per door. Now, this is not right. Local media coverage. Another councilman said at the last meeting he voted yes at the proposal that you said. How did he vote yes? Did he not listen to all the responses? Let me give you a wonderful example of high salaries coupled with term limits, no term limits. The U.S. Congress and Senate, two totally dysfunctional groups who do nothing. All right? Now, insofar as term limits, I don't agree with the councilman on term limits. He wants to abolish term limits. He's saying about benefits. He's creating a caste system saying, I disqualify this percent who make this kind of money or education. No, sir. If I want to run for council, I have that right. Okay? And insofar as you're mentioning eliminating term limits, it is wonderful to have term limits because it cleanses. It cleanses. In conclusion, Mayor, don't condemn your term in office to mediocrity and subject the citizens of Palm Coast to disastrous economic reprisals.
Thank you for your comment. Please. Please respect the next speaker. Next speaker, please.
Jeff Ney, I just want to say the greed that you guys are showing up here, 365% raise, are you out of your minds? Are you completely lost it? What kind of mothers do you have? How long have you been in office, Mr. Mayor? Have you even been in office a year yet? What about you? How long have you been in office? You want to raise? And benefits for part-time work? Are you insane? All of you are. And I vote that all of them be removed immediately. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next speaker, please.
Patrick Del Sordo, Palm Coast resident. As you've heard before, 40 years in Palm Coast, longer than probably 2/3 of you have even been residents in Palm Coast. I've been here since Palm Coast was 2/3 dirt. Watched it build, watched it burn, put out the fire. Watched it build, watched it burn, put out the fire. Two gentlemen in the back of the room, one blue badge, one red badge. Know my credentials. I did it as a volunteer. Got up every morning, had a pager strapped to me with a 9-volt battery. Volunteered my services every day for 20 years. Now I do it again. right there where you people are sitting, on the firefighters board, volunteering, 0 pay. I understand you guys do a hell of a lot more than I do. You do deserve some compensation. That much, this time, right now, in this day and age? No. Fix our roads, fix our drainage. The north end of Flagler of Palm Coast floods every drizzle. Just came home Easter Sunday through 1.5 feet of rain. The roads are disgusting. They're trash. Palm Coast has never looked this bad. Been here since 1982. This is the worst I have ever seen Palm Coast. Get out there on the street, take a look, drive around, walk around, go look at it. It's horrible. I'm afraid to bring my family down here. I raised 2 daughters in this place. I went to high school 300 yards up the road. Graduated right there at FBC. My daughters both graduated Matanzas High School, both graduated UCF College. Sorry, UCF and UNF. They don't want to be here. Nobody wants to be here. It's getting worse. Make it better, then give yourselves the raises that you deserve. Show us that you can do it. This isn't 100% your fault. This goes back every board prior to you. Be better than them. Be better. Sir, Mr. Vice Mayor, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Please. Next speaker, please.
If I may, Mayor, Denise, this is an unusual place for me to be because 35 years on that side, it's hard for me.
Please
so I'll be a
identify
little
yourself
nervous.
just for the record, please.
Oh, Patrick Miller.
Thank you,
Sorry.
Patrick.
Former city manager, county manager, et cetera. I think you received a disservice from previous councils, and that is not giving themselves a raise, an additional stipend. That's a shame. And timing is everything, and the timing couldn't be worse. Mr. Mayor, it couldn't be worse, and you've got to agree. What I would recommend, and I don't know if you can do it, you'll have to ask your legal counsel, is maybe look at giving yourselves a raise, sort of as this gentleman has said, a smaller raise, but each year add to it in a catch-up mode. Sort of what I referred to you, Mayor, when we were talking about contracts at one time. The contract, the person looking for additional money wanted more money, but the staff was smart enough to go back and say, well, let's start here, and each year let's add to it to get to where you want to be. Same thing. Understand also, it is a council manager form of government, and you've got an excellent place in Tallahassee to learn from, and that's the Florida League of Cities. They will give you every resource you need to compare where you stand compared to other cities. I take exception that a council member, because of their age or where they come from, cannot represent me as a 70-year-old curmudgeon. I don't care who you are. If I've elected you, you can listen to me and you can represent me any time of the day, anywhere at this elected body. But you need to think right now where you're at and where you want to be and do a new line. I would also say that you'll have to ask legal counsel, but such a substantial change, even as an amendment, may need to go back and come through for a first and second reading again. I don't know, I've been away too long, but I know that when you fill a blank in a subject and it's related as a majority to that subject, it cannot be considered and approved at that meeting. So I give to you that, yes, you deserve something. Benefits, that's another thing. I think that's up for another discussion. But as far as your salary, think small, build up. And you can readdress it each year, and it does get approved by the elected because it doesn't go effective. But you're pushing the election to a point where the electors are going to ask that it be on them only.
Thank you for your comment. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. My name is Janet Castaneda, and I'm here to let you know how unsettling and repugnant your 365 pay hike is to the ears of the people you represent. It's not the diversity of the council. The council should represent people in their district, and that they should have their ears open. It doesn't matter how old you are. You should be representing your people. Now, I don't understand why you don't see this as being preposterous. I had someone say, oh, this must be fake news. They couldn't believe it. I go, no, it's true. Scenario one, if you were watching TV and you saw the men in Los Angeles brazenly smash windows to grab goods and run out with bags of loot, then you found out that as long as the amount they stole was under $950, the crooks are released. How does that make you feel? Are you repulsed by their action? They know they could get away with it, but you know that their brazen acts of thievery increases the cost for the rest of us. Do you consider them crooks? Another scenario, you see your child Jake. He goes into your wallet and he pulls out several $20 bills and he stuffs them in his pocket. When you confront him, he tells you, well, he deserves the extra money because the new baby creates extra trash and it's stinky. Besides, Johnny down the street gets more money and Susie gets even more money than Johnny. Wouldn't you stop him and make it a teaching moment and explain taking money, whether he thinks it's deserved or not, is just plain wrong. And just because Johnny and Susie gets more money isn't a justification for your son to take more money. As these scenarios really any different than our city council deciding to quadruple their pay, or this motion that's before you, which is really the same thing when you add benefits and the cost of the benefits, it's as much as the original quadrupling of the pay. And you're doing it without our consent? You're spending the money as if it's yours? Did you know under the Magna Carta in 1215, even the King of England couldn't take a freeman's wood, horses, or carts without the consent? Even in his fiefdom, he could not take things that belong to someone else. You are taking things from us. You're at a tipping point. Do you want to fight with us, your constituents, and create more bad blood and mistrust, or do you want to work with us and try to regain your trust? I would say abandon the ordinance and open discussion back. You know, have a workshop with the people. You represent us, and I think you find us fair.
Thank you for your comment. Okay. Next speaker, please.
My name is Yvonne Lewis. I'm a 20-year resident of Palm Coast, and I'm a medical war veteran. You want us to believe that this race is going to give us better candidates. I don't see it that way. I think we're going to get more candidates, but they're going to be interested in the salary, not what the people want or not what's better for the community. If your statement is true, what I see before me is the least desirable, because you campaigned for the election. You wanted to represent us. When you realized that the townspeople were ready to tar and feather you, you decided to reconsider the amount, but you brought in health benefits. Are you kidding me? You're the voice of the people, not yourselves. You want us to believe that these raises will not affect our taxes. I can't believe that this town has over $250,000 just sitting there waiting with nowhere to go. The cost may not be listed as council raises, but I truly believe that it'll be blanketed somewhere. If any raise is in order, it should be no more than what we give our EMTs, our firefighters, and police, what they received at their last raise. People have a hard time gassing up their cars to go to work. How can you even ask for such an entitlement? Asking for this enormous raise when other city employees barely get cost of living, in my eyes, they're provided a needed service. They provide so much, and they're rewarded with so little. Your job is to represent the people who voted for you. If you're not willing to be our voice, then that leads me to believe that this is all about personal gain, and your agenda is nothing but smoke and mirrors. I was one of those people that walked our town and handed out the petitions. Nobody wants this raise. 3%? Maybe. 365, 265? It will be your last term. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Chantal Pröninger, and I'm a 1 month resident in the city. I never thought I would be thrown into the city life so fast, but here it is. We, the people, were shocked when you bullied through an outrageous compensation increase for yourself against our agreement. You campaigned to put the city first, and now we know these were empty words to get elected. A lot of people in the city work 2 jobs to try to make it, while you have a lucrative job on the side and pretend your increase won't affect us. Money, as I might have said before, does not grow on trees. What you grab for yourself has to come from a service allocated somewhere else. 365% or 260 is not relevant. We, the people, said no to both. There doesn't seem to be any money for more than 1 street light per neighborhood street. No sidewalks in neighborhoods. No money for sewers. We're left with worthless swales. That might be good for a few houses out in the country, but not for a city that size. It's a swamp. Mosquitoes breed, and then you spray at night. I suggest you start looking into sewers for new development that have been approved, and then continue for the rest of the city. You might say, we can't do that. There's not enough tax money for that. But there is for your compensation increase. No money for the staff increase of 3%. It appears to me you have taken the job of a huge HOA, even decided which color you can put on your house. As for you, realtors, might not be able to sell our house down the line after you have irritated people enough fighting against each other or you, that you feel the only option left is to move out of here. But there's money for your outrageous compensation increase. You handling millions of dollars does not make you worth more than a person who fills the shelves with food so you can eat, or the person who cleans your office. That is your job description. Manage that money and do it a way people feel you deserve any increase. As an argument you used to increase your compensation, you mentioned that the city is fiscally responsible with our debt, and after we all left, you approved another loan. What do you call a loan? You want a compensation increase? Go for a 3% maximum. Give it as well to the staff that works for you. By the way, if that increase is to attract more people to want to do your job, so it should not apply to you. You knew before being elected where your compensation would be, and we're happy with it.
Thank you for your comment. Next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Angela Smith. I'm proud to say that I became a resident of Flagler County last year, and I'm privileged to have participated in the Small Business Expo here just recently. So I just want to come to the podium again and remind the council and the community and the volunteers that Cell Energy is my business plan I've been working on for 5 years. I'm a 20-year career and technical education teacher, and I offer a 4-day entrepreneurship summer camp for underserved students between 15 and 25. And I choose entrepreneurship because once you teach entrepreneurship skills, you don't really have to talk about soft skills because it comes internal. So I just wish to spend a few more seconds and plead for anyone who wishes to help me increase the wealth and economic welfare of our community by serving the underserved students first. I would welcome it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for sharing your comment. Next speaker, please.
Hello, Mark Lewis, Cottonwood, Palm Coast. In the recent special election for mayoral candidates, several qualified people participated. Everyone knew what the compensation package was. It didn't have a limitation at that time. Today, you're talking about $43,000, $39,000. The numbers are jumping all over the place. But in my opinion, this salary increase becomes your reelection campaign fund war chest provided by Palm Coast taxpayers. Someone sitting in office for 4 years will be able to collect all of this money and use it for yard signs, television commercials, or whatever. It reduces the ability for other citizens to run for office because the incumbents are sitting on a ton of money as a result of this compensation increase. I think the comment that this is to bring in more qualified people is a red herring. I think what it does is make it harder for the average citizen to run for one of these council seats or the mayor's position, because the incumbents will be sitting on a lot of money as a result of their compensation package. And I think if I look around at the people here, you either got good paying jobs or you're comfortably retired, which means you don't need the big increase. So the money will go into a fund that you will use for your reelection campaigns. I think this makes it more difficult for general citizens to become a part of this city council. And that's my opinion. I think the money is way too much. You should put a cost of living on what you got, or maybe a minor increase. And I don't understand how our new council member can pull numbers out of 16 cities and the data isn't presented to the rest of us citizens. None of this smells correct to me. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. I'm Colleen Oakes, and I live here in Palm Coast. You all are talking about trying to round up better quality candidates by raising the pay. If that is truly the case, then y'all need to step down because you're obviously not qualified. I'm not opposed to anyone receiving a raise. What's good enough for the city employees should be good enough for you. I don't think there's too many city employees here that received a 365% increase. If I'm wrong, just say I'm wrong. Hearing nothing, as usual. I think that cost of living is appropriate. I don't want my taxes going up. Evidently you do. I don't have tax dollars for you, but I have plenty of antifreeze. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Is there another speaker in the audience that would like to address City Council at this time?
Good morning, everyone. Dennis McDonald. Mr. Mayor, I know you're going to say that you've been listening to everyone, but I believe that you haven't really been listening to everybody, because what this is all about is not 365%. It's not about 3%. It's not about COLA or anything like that. Okay? What's wrong here and what rubs everybody in this city wrong is the manner in which this was done and will be done, because 3 out of 5 of you are going to decide this for thousands of people. That's what's wrong, and that's not a democratic process. And so we need to put our foot on that right away. Now, what you've gone and done by pushing this forward, Mr. Mayor, is you've created a situation where there's a referendum coming forward, and there's a giant awareness like I've never seen before in Palm Coast of people paying attention to their elected officials and who's in office. And that's a wonderful thing, because it's going to have an effect on every single one of you except for Mr. Branchino. okay? You're just going down the wrong path here. I can't understand, why you would choose to do this, because in your particular case, you have a job of selling real estate, okay? And what I look at this as is you are bullying people. You are bullying people in the city of Palm Coast into this raise. You slipped it in at the end of a meeting, then it came forward, and out of nowhere, and all of a sudden it's this $34,000 raise. You will suffer the consequences of this because, you have another job. We're not going to buy real estate from you. So you really need to be very cautious about what you're doing here. We talk about, giving benefits. You're talking about benefits. Benefits raise the cost to us or the salary substantially, maybe 25–30%. So you need to not move forward with this at this time. This is going to impact everyone, and I want to be real positive here on a closing note. We can change this. You can vote this in, but what's going to happen is everybody who runs for office after this, okay, one of their qualifications is going to be whether or not, okay, they are going to back this ordinance or reverse this ordinance that you're going to put in here, and that is the ultimate slap for all of you, because we can change this no different than Flagler Beach changed it. That's why there's a few high-rises on Flagler Beach, and Flagler Beach doesn't have high-rises anymore because the people got sick of it and they reversed it, and it is no more. So if you want to fall into that category, be my guest. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Okay.
Hello, Darlene Shelley. I live in Hidden Lakes. In my 25 years as an operations manager, I will share that with you that the very best top performing associates in my company were rewarded with a 6 to 8% increase. The very best. Those that were not meeting expectations were given a 0% raise, or they were terminated. Your positions are as public servants and should not be compensated as a full-time job. There are plenty of more than qualified individuals of all ages and backgrounds willing to serve without this huge proposed salary increase. Part-time public service positions do not warrant health benefits. Do the job you signed up to do. Listen to the citizens of Palm Coast. Protect our welfare, health, and safety. Do the right thing and consider a modest salary increase that actually makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next speaker. Mr. Martin, have you already commented on the subject?
I actually would like to make a comment on educating the people that the city charter.
We're talking about the ordinance. I think you've already commented on this point.
No, I'm talking about the city charter.
Hold on a second, please. Clerk, have we already had a comment from Mr. Martin? It wouldn't be fair to the rest of the public for someone to have a second bite of the apple now.
We did hear a comment from Mr. Martin on the compensation increase.
And I'm not speaking about the compensation increase. I'm speaking about the city charter and the powers the city charter gives to the citizens.
You can make a comment during public participation at the end of the agenda on another item if you want to do that.
Thank you,
You can
Counselor.
come back up and speak to that.
Thank you, Counselor. Are there any additional members of the public that would like to speak on this item at this time?
Steve Carr, Palm Coast. I believe everybody wants to do their best job, and they want to receive the best pay that they can for their best job. Where I run into a problem with wanting a raise is when I don't see residential neighborhoods treated equally as far as quality of life. It really gets to me. I'm wanting to give people a raise that's not treating me equally. Why would I want to do that? That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Any other members? Yes, ma'am.
Terry Maga, East Section, and I'm here to tell you that I think what you're asking this raise is atrocious. On the backs of people that are suffering already, trying to get money for gas, trying to have food, and living, the cost of rent went up. A lot of people are not able to go ahead and having a hard time with the rent. People that own houses, if y'all think that you're not gonna be paying higher taxes, forget it, because you are. We're gonna be taxed out of our homes. Another thing is, there's a lot more people here than 11 people. And you have one gentleman that's up there that can't even look at who's speaking. I think we're all tired, and we want you guys to, and implore you to think about this raise that you're having, that you want to raise 265 or 85, 300, and whatever, makes no difference. 3% is more in line with what the economy is right now. I've served 28 years in the military and the Air Force, and I did it voluntarily because I love this country, okay? You guys come here and you're in the councilman and the mayor, and why did you? I'd like to know why you went ahead and you decided you were gonna run. Because it looks like it's all greed to me, and all of us know that that's what it is. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any?
Good morning, Gene Walker. As I drove here this morning, I said to myself, you're not going to talk today. Just listen to everybody else, please. And then the radio came on with some interviews, some council members about this raise and their comments and their thoughts. And then I sat here and listened to a lot more being added on to this reading. First, you start out of nowhere with the raise. We do a first reading, then we come to our second reading. All of a sudden, we got amendments. We got amendments for certain salaries going higher. We got amendments for benefits. We got an unheard thing where if you don't take the benefits, you get the money, and that's just like a raise. So I had to say something, okay? You do have term limits. You can be voted out, and that's up to us, the people. And I'd like to see where we vote your raise. And this being part of a contract after this, if this goes through, I hope it doesn't, that you'll get the same percent as some employees. Now, those employees are working their rear ends off for their salaries. And if you get elected in and you promise something to get elected in, then when you get in, you turn into a lousy person. I'm going to try to be nice. You're still going to get that raise because it's a contract. No. We give you what we think. You're not going to promise us something, get in, and then be guaranteed for 4 years on a contract for a raise, and you're doing a lousy job. Your raises should be every year, and we vote what we think we should give you, not what a contract for 4 years that locks it in and we can't do something about it. I'm not against you having a raise. I'm not. Reasonable. Benefits? Hell no. Benefits are so outrageous it's disgusting to cost. And to give you money because you don't take the benefits. First of all, is it benefits just for you, the member? Or is it benefits for your complete family? There is difference in cost there. Second of all, I didn't like that part where you're going to get a contract guaranteeing you an increase every year for 4 years. No. This should be voted on by us. You put it out to us on the voting. Yeah, it's going to cost money to put it on the ballot. So what? But we're going to get our voice heard. We vote what we think you should get. Eddie, you made a good suggestion. Start gradual, move up. Nothing about benefits, nothing about contracts. Smart man, common sense.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else in the audience like to make public comment at this time? Yes, ma'am.
Paula Lewis, Cottonwood Court. I wasn't going to say anything, but a couple months ago, we were told that we wouldn't be getting our taxes raised because you were all understanding that you only had a limited amount of money to spend. Well, we too only have a limited amount of money to spend. And for you to take and raise our taxes so that you have more money to spend, and then you raise your salaries and possibly benefits too, you're draining our pockets even deeper. There's no call for any of this.
Anyone else for public comment?
Good morning, Council. Tony Amaral, Palm Coast resident. By my count, I'm the 21st person to speak up about this subject right now. You all do a wonderful job. You all give time and effort for this job. You all wanted this job knowing what it paid. Some of you asked for it twice. Is there room for an increase? Yes, there is room for an increase for what you do. But what needs to be understood is you are not full-time employees of the city of Palm Coast. You are to guide the city staff through Ms. Bevan, through the rest of your staff, and through all of them. Your job is to guide. If you think you are doing a full-time job and working full-time for the city of Palm Coast, you are not doing your job. You are supposed to counsel and to guide the city's staff to do what you're asking. The people on the street every day, your lowest paid employee who is working the 40+ hours a week to get your goals done, you should not make more than that person. I do like the fact that you have come back after having a moment of clarity and saying, hey, maybe we thought about this a little bit rash. I do like some of the proposals. I don't think you need benefits. There's a lot of open ends to the benefits part of it. Your compensation should go up from the $9,000. I do like the $12,000 to $15,000 more than I like the $20,000, but definitely no health benefits. There's just a lot of blanks and open. Is it forever? Is it family? Is it just for the term? And you definitely don't need to get compensated for it afterwards. Again, you all do a great job. Make sure we don't let money ruin that for the future. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any other members of the public that would like to comment on the issue at this time? Seeing no one coming forward, I will close this section of public comment, and I will return to the dais for final comments from City Council. City Councilman?
Yes, sir.
Any comment?
Yes, sir.
Let's start with, I think,
okay.
you first.
I absolutely am willing to discuss with our council how we feel about the proposal for the benefits. I think that's something that maybe we could revise. Oh, I'm sorry, is that better? Success? Yeah. I'm totally open to discussion with our council on whether or not we should revise the proposal for benefits. I think there's a lot of I don't know the correct word, disparity of what can be allocated for different people in different situations, and I think that might present an issue. I like the idea of offering something, whether you take advantage of the benefits or not, but that might not be effective. I also think it's very realistic, and I appreciate Councilman Finelli's due diligence with the absolute numbers, eliminating statistical outliers and then just taking a straight average of cities in Florida that have an average population of 102,000 is very reasonable, and it's a very statistically sound way to get to a number. Besides that, I don't have comments. Thank you.
Very good. Vice Mayor?
Yes. To be perfectly honest, I would love to see Councilman Finelli withdraw his motion, so to allow me to make a motion to go from $12,000 to $15,000, which apparently will make everybody happy, not just some of us. Because what we're doing right now, as public servants, are bringing it from expenses / compensation to a full salary with benefits. That's what we're doing. That's not what you don't want out there. Biggest percentage out there. And I insist on this. This is, you are the reason what we should be here for. And one note, one of my heroes in this city, who's no longer with us, is Mr. John Netz. May God rest his soul. And I'm pretty sure that most of us over here, I guarantee you, would have the biggest, consideration for this man. There's a reason why when Mr. Netz actually had some input in designing this new city hall, he made the mayor and the city council's office the smallest office for anybody who works in an office in Palm Coast. If there's one smaller, I don't know. We're talking about a small, an office that's about 12 by 8 or 9 feet for 5 people. That should be a hint for us, public servants. I think John Netz was actually hinting at us what we are. We are a grain in the middle of the sand. Let's respect those out there. And once again, I like to insist on this, and I mean this with all due respect for my colleagues. And I mean, there's no disrespect in me disagreeing with you. It's just the way I see it. And if I in any way, shape, or form offended anyone throughout my talking, I apologize. I still don't think that we should create a contract without an arbitration. You, the people of Palm Coast, should be the arbitrator. And if we're going to vote on something here today that should concern you, I think that should go to the ballot. Let the people in the ballot tell us what we deserve. Not us telling us what we deserve. The people should tell us what we deserve. If we do anything other than that, once again, in my opinion, with all due respect, I think we're disrespecting all of you today. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Good. Council?
Yeah, at some point, if you don't mind me jumping in, just clarification on a couple points before we get to Councilmember Dango and Finelli, just so I have some additional information. First of all, I just want to remind the council about the history of the compensation and how that is set. The original charter in 1999 included the same method of establishing compensation by ordinance as it does now. That language has never been changed over the existence of the incorporation of Palm Coast. The compensation of the city council was changed on 2 instances. In 2003, by ordinance, it modified the mayor's salary to $7,500, the vice mayor to $6,000, the city council, other city council members to $6,000. And then in 2007, it modified those salaries again to the current salary range. The other charter, the other changes since that time as they pertain to the charter or any other ordinances, there haven't been any other ordinances on compensation. So the method of setting compensation by ordinance is one that was established in the original charter and has been done 2 other times through the history of the municipality. The second item is that this ordinance was noticed with the same title block. The title block states that the city council will be looking at increasing the compensation rate. The amount that was put in first reading can be changed between first and second reading. If it were to be increased above that, that would be an issue, but it's trending towards decreasing that amount based on the motion that's on the floor right now. So that change can be made between first and second reading. And in fact, that's the reason why you have first and second readings. So changes can be made between that time based on public input, based on a different additional information that may be presented. And finally, just for clarification purposes, I spoke with Renina Fuller, and she indicated that the opt-out amount for benefits under the city's current benefit plan, if you choose to opt out of getting those benefits, is $750. That's under the current plans, the way it's established. So I know you weren't sure of the number. I just wanted to verify the number for you.
That's an annual number, Council? An annual number of $750?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Counselor, thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
Councilman Danko, a comment, final
I
comment?
just want to clarify something with the legal counsel. It's been 15 years since this council has received a raise, is that correct?
The last one was in 2007.
Been 15 years. I was going to ask John here to amend his motion to eliminate the compensation if you don't accept the medical benefits, but now that we know it's $750, I won't even ask that, John. That's all the comments I have.
Thank you. And Councilman Finelli, any final comment?
I do have some.
Please, please.
So I know a lot of you come up and you spoke regarding giving ourselves a raise. Again, I will share with you, I will receive no additional monetary compensation from this whatsoever because my term here ends in November and I'm not running for re-election. So it has no impact on me whatsoever. But I will tell you that in my life, I've always tried to do what is right, not what is easy, right? So I could very easily sit up here and just say no because, right, there's no impact on me. But I don't believe it's right for our other councilmen or the mayor not to be appropriately compensated for the job that they're doing. The numbers that I brought forth today are an average of 16 like cities across Florida, an average. And we are a well above average city. I don't think there's a person in this room would say that Palm Coast as a city is average. That's why we live here, because we love it, and we love the amenities we have, we love our neighbors, we love the city of Palm Coast. But what I've proposed today is an average of appropriate compensation for the council and the mayor based on like cities across the state of Florida. This is not a money grab. This is not out of the ordinary for what the position pays. This is an average with 8 cities paying more than this and 8 paying less than this. So I think this is a fair and appropriate compensation for the position, and I would think that you would want to appropriately compensate the people that are making decisions on your behalf.
Thank you for your comment. Okay, please. With that, I will call the vote. Roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Bronchino,
No.
Councilmember Danko,
Yes.
Councilmember Finelli,
Yes.
Councilmember Clufus,
Aye.
Mayor Alfin.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-1.
Okay, we move forward now to the consent agenda. Give the public a moment to clear.
You're welcome.
Anybody second the motion?
Councilmember Clufus seconded the motion.
Okay, we'll now move forward to the consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that we wish to, any council member wishes to pull? Okay. Can I ask the public now? Are there any members of the public that would like to comment on the consent agenda? Please come forward at this time. Seeing no one approach the podium, I will close public comment. Is there any additional discussion regarding the consent agenda from City Council at this time?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second it.
I have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Does the clerk have the count? 5-0. Very good. We've moved now to other business. An appointment to fill a vacancy on the Beautification and Environmental Advisory Committee, which is, the acronym is BEAC. So does the clerk have a list for us to work from, or tell me what your procedure is?
Mayor, City Council, I'd like to update you with regards to the background checks. It is customary that we've done background checks on all applicants for the boards. The process changed where we were now putting out the background checks with our local sheriff's department to conduct those checks for us. Mr. Wright's background check has not been returned to us yet, and Mr. Saint's has not gone to get a completion.
May I suggest that we delay the appointments at this time until you have all the information necessary?
Yes, I can bring that forth.
Let me just ask, does City Council okay with that delay, waiting for additional information?
Yes. Yes, and I spoke with our clerk regarding that. Something I would like to add to that is that.
Let me just,
okay.
1 second. Counselor, is that okay that we
Just
delay?
need a head nod for
What's that?
consensus.
Head nod?
Yep,
Okay,
head
fine.
nod
I'm sorry.
for consensus.
And what I would like to do is, some of these people, we don't know them. I don't know them. I looked through all 9 of them. I read about it, and we don't know them. I think it would be fair for us over here to give every one of these people a chance to come in front of us and have a comment. Even no questions from us, but at least let them tell us why they want to take this position. Just tell us why. Let us see. Let us feel what you're talking about.
So
even though this is not a, what do you call it? This is only a committee. It's not a board, so they basically have no voting factor, but they could influence. So if we see the people in front of us, I would think makes it a lot easier for us to understand and who to vote for. We don't know these people. Sometimes reading, unless we, just as good as Renina, that looks at an application and she knows right away, but I don't have that capacity. And if people comes in
Maybe
front
I
of us 3 minutes.
suggest you request of the city manager for the next workshop agenda item to make that invitation.
Absolutely. It's requested now, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Even though we're going to meet again. So, and I think I spoke to you about that also. So it's something that it's fair for us and it's fair for the people that's going to come in front of us.
Everyone agrees. Everyone concurs with that. Good. Thank you. We now move on to public participation. Are there any members of the public that would like to make final comment at this time? Whoever's first, please.
Good morning again, Mayor and City Council. I would first...
name, please. Name.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Gene Dowd, Palm Coast resident. I have 2 questions, and I wrote the one out. I'll give it to the clerk. What's the status of the Waste Pro or the contract for where that stands? Are we going to wait till January or February and find out we don't have good bids and then have to pay a raise in fees? So I'd like to know the status of that from the city. Second, the mayor walked away. Last week, the vice mayor asked a question at the very end of the meeting of the workshop of the city manager. And the city manager did her job. She asked for clarification or to be more specific. The mayor stepped in, stopped the vice mayor from answering the question of the city manager, and we pay the city manager to do her job. If you go back to the video, The mayor took exception to the question and answered for the city manager. And I think the city, the residents deserve an answer to the vice mayor's question. Last issue. I said I would always thank the city employees, and there's 3 of them up in front of me. I don't single them out, all 3 of them. You ladies do a great job. All of them in the back, city employees, do a great job. Out on the street, they do a great job. They're amazing, absolutely amazing. I can't compete with the vice mayor's what's the word? Well, the way he talks about them. But I will single out one because he is like my twin brother, who was a fireman for more than 35 years, raised to the rank of chief in his town, where we grew up, went to grammar school, went to high school, junior high. And he's retiring soon, so I'm going to do what I couldn't do for my brother. By my desk, where I worked for 39 and a half years, I had Lou Gehrig's speech, and I had, I'm not a techie, but Leonard Nimoy about life and the mark you make in life. Chief, when I heard the assistant city, behind me, comment about the mentor that you are, I am sure you were the mentor to many people, and I thank you for the service from a resident of this city for all you did those 35 plus years. Thank you, City Council.
Thank you for your comment. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor and Council. I'm Sybil Dodson-Lucas, a resident of Palm Coast, and I had a question. Since the appointment to the Beautification and Environmental Advisory Committee has been held over, does that leave an application open for others? Or is that a closed process at this point?
Good question, City Clerk.
We had closed the applications. If it's council's desire, I can reopen the application process to a date time certain prior to the May workshop and business meeting, because we do need to appoint by the end of May, and I do have to allot for time to do background checks.
Can I get a head nod on if that's acceptable?
I would close the, actually, like, just continue on with the batch that have submitted, because it's an outlier, not within our means of control, if that makes sense. It's just the background checks.
To be fair to those that had applied during the original window.
Have met the deadline and fulfilled the successful criteria. We have enough candidates to fill. If we didn't, I would say absolutely let's extend it, but to be fair to applicants already, I think we should just wait on the remaining background checks to return and then make a decision. That's just my thoughts.
Councilman?
I tend to agree with it.
Okay.
I tend to agree with
I
it.
agree.
I think the consensus amongst City Council is, to be fair, to protect the original window of opportunity for application. Extending it and rolling it forward might be deemed unfair to those that participated, in that original window of application process. But I appreciate your question very much, so thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm glad that we opened this exception when somebody asks us a question. Due to the fact that meant what it meant, we answered it right away, because we usually don't do that. It's just that you wait until the end, and then we'll give you the answer, us or the city manager. But due to the fact that it was so pertinent, I think that was good for us to even come up with this thing. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you. Any remaining members of the public that would like to make comment at this time?
Dennis McDonald. Council, every time I come to one of these meetings, there's one non-agenda item that always appears. Have you ever noticed what that would be? It's Mr. Carr. Could we please do something for Mr. Carr? And there is a solution. There is a planning solution to this on what is done in many other cities, not only in Florida, but in other places. Why don't you take Florida Park, okay, and create a residential professional step-down zone, okay, where somebody who wants to live in their house but operate a business so they don't have to go and rent an office someplace in town, okay, operate their accounting business or be a lawyer or any one of a number of things that you may outline, and create a step down. Because what the problem here is that Mr. Carr is really talking about, and every time I hear him, is economic. The people who live on that road can't have a difficult time selling their house, and when they do, nobody wants to live on Florida Park Drive. Why? too much traffic. Who wants traffic? The accountant, the lawyer, the small professional who wants to be visible in the community, and this is an excellent way to do it. So I would offer to please help in this manner in any way I could. It's certainly been done successfully in many areas that I have operated in other states, not Florida. It would be, I think, a real positive thing for the fact is that you don't have such a zone right now, and certainly with 100,000 people here, there's got to be a need. Thank you very much. Help Mr. Carr.
Thank you for your comment. Any other members of the public like to make a final comment today to City Council? Seeing none, I will close public comment, and we come back to the dais now for discussion by City Council of matters not on the agenda today. So, Mr. Danko, want to start off today?
I
Mr. Finelli?
have nothing.
Mr. Finelli?
For me.
Vice Mayor?
I just have one thing, and that's actually very good. There are things that we do here that pleases us, and at least me. Small things in life that create it. Yesterday at 2:47, I was walking into my house, and the lady across the street came running for me for help because her daughter was actually cleaning the culvert and a possible poisonous snake bit her hand. First thing I did, I called Denise Bevan. She was in a meeting with two high-ranked people that works for us. She still answered my phone, and the answer I asked of her, I had it in less than 3 minutes. That was very helpful, very professional. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart, ma'am. Thank you. Okay. That's it.
Any other final comments? Then we'll move on to City Attorney. Any comments?
I have no comments.
Very good. And finally, we'll move on to City Manager, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I actually have one item. It's procedural. It's consistent with our procurement process, and it has to do with emergency and sole source purchases. If there's any questions, that would be the time to ask.
Anyone?
Thank you. That's all I have.
Very good.
Adjourn.
So I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Adjourned.